Humans are the spirits of all things. The ancients are the true scripture of heaven and earth. By accident, my soul transmigrated into an ancient cultivator in the cultivation world. I inherited the original host's ability to see progress bars of everything. In the original host's view, this ability was just a burden, but I firmly believe that no ability is useless. Only useless cultivators. So I immediately grabbed pen and paper and wrote the 2 words ancient recipe on it. Then I casually wrote the name of an ancient insect. Very quickly, a 1.5% progress bar appeared on the paper, just as I expected. Ancient recipes count as a kind of thing too, so of course I could see a progress bar for them as well.
This way.
All I had to do was arrange the remaining ingredients. If the progress didn't change, it meant I guessed wrong. If the progress increased, that meant I got it right. So when the progress reached 100%, it meant I had successfully obtained a new ancient recipe. This also meant that, with this ability, I could completely create new ancient species in the cultivation world that never existed before, with no cost for trial and error. All I needed for researching ancient recipes was pen and paper. Just thinking about it made me extremely excited. I pushed open the door and headed toward the herb garden. This garden belonged to an ancient cultivator of the Long family. I was just a menial laborer. At the same time, I scooped out a spoonful of ripening fluid and poured it on the spirit herb. Its maturity instantly changed from 18.2% to 18.3%. I poured a second spoonful, and the progress increased by another 0.1%, just as I thought. 2 spoons brought a 0.2% increase. A third spoon had no effect. That's the pattern. I was visibly excited. According to Old Long's instructions, each spirit herb needed 3 spoonfuls per week. But now it seemed that was just a rough, experience-based estimate. Some waste was inevitable. But with the progress bar, I could use the exact amount required to the decimal. Not only could I secretly pocket some ripening fluid, but I could also push the spirit herb's yields far beyond expectations. With optimal cultivation, Old Long was in seclusion most of the year, only caring about results, never asking about the process. As long as I handed in the required amount of spirit herbs on time, I could skim off any extra yield. Thinking of this, I grinned. Now I had money to refine my first GU insect. Wasn't this all coming together? A year flew by in the blink of an eye. I finally managed to save up my first sum of money. In my free time, I was reading a technique called the Longevity Sutra. This was a cultivation family, deliberately leaking a health technique to mortals, just so mortals could live a few more years and work for them longer. There are 10 levels to the Longevity Sutra. Each level adds 10 years to your life. Although my aptitude for cultivation was pretty lousy, I was stuck at the initial gathering spirits stage. The stages for ancient cultivation are gathering spirits, stream, forest, ocean, and out of body. But oddly enough, when it came to the Longevity Sutra, I was a once-in-a-century genius. Most people can barely break through to the 5th level in their lifetime. But I, at a young age, had already mastered all 10 levels, gaining an extra 100 years for free. But this wasn't the complete Longevity Sutra, because the progress bar only showed a tiny 10%. Even a perfect 10 levels only amounted to 10%. Driven by curiosity, I used my feedback from seeing the progress bar and started forcefully writing extensions to the Longevity Sutra. If the progress bar disappeared, it meant my guess was wrong, so I would rewrite it. In this way, I gritted my teeth and spent a whole year, and managed to extrapolate it up to level 20. From the 11th level onward, each level boosted my lifespan by 50 years. But when I glanced at my stats panel, I couldn't help feeling a twinge of pain. An entire year of effort only added another 10%, bringing the total progress to just 20%. The further I advanced, the more complex it became. If I wanted to reach 100%, I'd probably need thousands of years. I decisively put away the technique book. In a world where martial strength rules, I had plenty of years to burn for now. The most urgent thing now was to refine my very first GU. Given my lack of resources early on, dreaming of a legendary spirit bug was just wishful thinking. So using the progress bar for error correction, I managed to hammer out a self-created recipe that was dirt cheap. Cheap didn't mean weak. No one in this world truly knew how terrifying cockroaches are. They can go months without food or water and not die, and can even regenerate if their organs are damaged or limbs are severed. They're the very definition of indestructible. The bone cultivation path already included the concept of internal bones, so letting bone insects parasitize inside the body, feeding them with your blood and spiritual energy. They could then feed their power back to the host. Their special ability was the spirit bug's intrinsic power boost. Once refined into a bone, its attributes would multiply dramatically. My focus was simple: bone possession. To create an immortal body. No hesitation, I got right to it. I decisively harvested all the spirit herbs in the garden that were at 100% maturity on my progress bar, and headed straight west. Murder and robbery were strictly forbidden on the outskirts of the market, and since my goods were ordinary, it was relatively safe. The marketplace was bustling with people. All sorts of rare pills and elixirs filled the stalls of rogue cultivators. I skillfully entered a trading guild and traded the surplus high-yield spirit herbs for 10 bone bells used for bone refining. One then gathered all the cheap supplementary materials I needed. After a round of shopping, I was left with a pitiful 10 spirit stones. When I returned to the stalls of rogue cultivators, the perverse nature of the progress bar became crystal clear. Counterfeits always had no progress bar at all, while those bits of black iron slag close to 100% were clearly about to transform into black iron sand worth 100 times more. If only I wasn't so broke, I could have made a killing. Even scarier was the progress bar above live spirit bugs, where the more decimal digits there were, the longer it would take to mature, and the more incredible their bloodline. Once I understood this pattern, there were opportunities for windfalls everywhere. I wandered all over the stalls for half a day, and finally stopped at an old man's booth. I stared intently at a tattered beehive, with 2 nearly dead little bees lying inside. Noticing a potential customer, the old man looked up and smiled, claiming this was the hive of a mid-grade spirit bug called thorn bee. The terrifying power of mid-grade spirit bugs goes without saying, you already know. To get the honey from this hive, this old man had risked his life. He said he had other plans for the honey, but there were still quite a few bee pupae and thorn bees left in the hive. He said I looked young, so he'd give me a good price, and offered it for 100 spirit stones. I kept a poker face at his words, but inwardly I was over the moon. This old guy had misjudged the goods. A low-grade spirit bug's progress bar is accurate to 2 digits after the decimal point, which means it matures in about a century. Mid-grade has 3 digits, showing it's a 1,000-year maturation. But the 2 dying young bees had progress bars, accurate up to 4 decimal places. That clearly made them high-grade spirit bugs that took 10,000 years to mature. Besides, Old Long's herb garden was full of exotic flowers and strange grasses, making it a natural paradise for bees. The spirit honey produced there would undoubtedly be super profitable in time. Having made up my mind, I took a deep breath and put on an impatient expression. You think I'm just a kid? Easy to trick? Don't think I can't see through you. All these bee pupae and larvae are dead. Only 2 barely alive rainfall bees are left. I put on an act as if I was leaving and named my price in one go. 10 spirit stones. If you won't sell, I'll walk away right now. The old man was displeased when he heard that and said, Young man, I've seen people haggle by cutting the price in half, but I've never seen anyone bargain quite like this before. Friend, these bramble bees are really fierce. It cost me nearly everything I own to get them. Even if I sell them for just 100 spirit stones, I'd still be losing money. Hearing this, I almost burst out laughing. That's a top-grade spirit bug, after all. Of course it's fierce, but I kept a straight face and replied coldly, What does your huge loss have to do with me? Don't say I didn't warn you. These 2 bee larvae are in pretty bad shape. The longer you hold on to them, the greater the risk they'll die in your hands. If you sell now, you can at least get 10 spirit stones, if no one asks for a long time. And these 2 bee larvae die, then you really won't be able to sell even for a single spirit stone. My words hit the old man's sore spot. He looked hesitant. After hesitating for a while,
he finally gritted his teeth and said, Take them, take them.
Guess your bargaining's impressive. I happily pulled out my only 10 spirit stones, threw them on the stall, scooped up the beehive, and stuffed it into my insect bag. I rushed right back to the medicine garden, hung the beehive on a tree. At that moment, the scent of first-grade spirit herbs filled the entire garden. A miracle happened. The 2 dying baby bees instantly perked up and dove straight into the sea of flowers full of energy. Not a trace of weakness remained. With everything settled, I took out all the materials. Looking at the 10 open GU pots on the table, my heart suddenly started racing. The rules of bug refining are extremely cruel. You throw all the required spirit bugs into the jar, and in the end, only the mutated and surviving one is the GU. To avoid the slim success rate ending in failure, most refiners prepare extra materials and do so-called blind refining. I prepared 10 sets as well, but in the very next moment, I realized my caution was completely unnecessary. My golden finger is even more terrifying in refining. When the materials were sealed, only one of the jars on the table showed a faint numerical value. The other 9 tightly sealed jars showed no reaction. I felt a chill run down my scalp and instantly understood the trick. If there was any progress shown, it was guaranteed to succeed perfectly. If there was no progress displayed, it was doomed to fail. Total loss. Now, with this cheat, if there's no progress, I can just open the jar and reclaim the materials. Then try again at a more auspicious time and place. Until I see the progress bar. This basically gives me a 100% success rate at refining. Absolutely zero waste. The more I thought about it, the more excited I became. My fists clenched tightly. No more gambling on luck. With this absolute cheat, I could even dare to challenge the immortal cultivation world head-on. Those legendary recipes with less than a 1 in 10,000 success rate are nothing now. This cheat is so overpowered, it's hair-raising. Just like that, 49 days flew by in no time. All 10 GU pots reacted on the same day. Just as expected, as long as there's progress, it's a guaranteed success. When the progress bar hit 100, 10 completely crimson cockroaches crawled out of the GU pots one after another. All 10 GU pots were a success. Not a single material was wasted. For other bug refiners, this is simply a miracle they wouldn't even dare dream of. I quickly separated them and packed them up so they wouldn't attack each other. Named the new type of bug-strong GU. I pricked my finger and dripped a bit of blood on one. The instant the blood fused, I completely understood all its abilities, just as I had expected. It can't be killed by attacks of the same level. It even regenerates lost limbs. The best part is, this thing will eat anything. Paper, wood, leather, you name it. You'll never have to worry about feet again. Even though it's classified as a low-grade GU, its practical combat abilities are better than most mid-grade ones. The only problem is, you can only raise one of the same type per person. So I have 9 extras, and need to find a way to sell them for money. After more than a month, I visited the Western market again, this time not as a buyer, but as a vendor. I covered my face and found an empty spot, laid out a cloth, then arranged 9 bug jars, each containing a strong GU, each one priced at 300 low-grade spirit stones. Li Liaodao, the vendor next door, glanced over and advised me, low-grade. GU worms aren't popular anyway. Plus, you're selling an unpopular type cockroaches. There's no market for that. I just smiled and replied confidently, it doesn't matter. Good wine needs no bush. He thought I was just a boastful youngster. But before he finished his sentence, my first customer came over.
This guy's name is Li Yu.
He was about to duel his biggest rival. But the opponent already knew all his tricks. He needed something new no one was familiar with. To win by surprise, he picked up the jar and studied it for a while. Then looked at the instructions on my stall. Then asked, can your strong GU really prevent death against those of the same level? I quickly waved my hand. I wouldn't say that. I wrote it very clearly. It can only survive standard attacks of the same level. If your heart gets destroyed, nothing can save you. But it regrows lost limbs. Isn't picky with food either. Eats just about anything. And costs next to nothing to keep alive. Li Ernyu's eyes lit up instantly. Most GU are extremely expensive. Some only eat spirit stones. Some eat spirit herbs until you're broke. So not being picky about food is a huge advantage. He immediately tossed me 3 mid-grade spirit stones. each worth 100 low-grade stones. Grabbed a jar and walked off. First sale done. I turned to Li Liaodao and said, "Hey, old neighbor, just 299 spirit stones. I'll sell you one too. When you're away from home, it's better to be safe than sorry." Can't go wrong. Li Liaodao glared and cursed, saying I was scamming him. But he couldn't resist my persuasion. So he grabbed a jar, opened it, and dripped some blood in. The next second, his face froze. His expression shifted several times. Full of disbelief. How is it possible? A cockroach can actually have such incredible abilities? Only then did he realize that, although my strong Jiu looks like a low grade, in a fight it could go blow for blow with an opponent, doubling his combat power out of nowhere. It's even better than most mid-grade Jiu. He happily paid the stones and wanted to befriend me. He smiled and invited me to check out his stall too and help his business out. I glanced over. My scalp tingled on the spot. Every hair on my body stood up. Everything on his stall was sinister Jiu worms meant to harm people. They don't take up any blood key quota. They're designed to be planted directly inside an enemy. Stone Jiu, grain-sized Jiu, oil blob Jiu, each one more devious than the last. And each way to die is more gruesome than the one before. The methods for using these Jiu worms are endless. There's no way to guard against them all. A chill instantly ran through my entire body. The road back to the village was all loose stones. If someone tossed a few stones just like the ones on the path, I wouldn't be able to tell them apart at all. I'd die without even knowing how it happened. Not to mention there are even smaller Jiu insects. From a distance, I can't even see a progress bar. Even with cheats, I couldn't defend against tricks that sneaky. Living another life. All I fear most is death. Anything that could threaten my life must be eliminated immediately, right in the cradle. Right then and there, I made up my mind. My second GU is going to be a micro-inspecting GU. Only by creating a microscope GU can I see those tiny, micron-level bugs. No one will ever be able to poison me with GU insects again. And not just that. Once my micro-inspecting GU is done, I can start researching kinds of microorganisms totally invisible to the naked eye. I'll pioneer a whole new GU cultivation path, the microbe school, and I'll be the founder of it. No matter how hidden those sinister GU are, how could they compare to invisible microbe GU? They're stealthy. They could fly straight into an enemy's mouth without anyone noticing. You can target whoever you like. When it comes to stealth, what GU in this world can be harder to defend against than microbe GU? Stone GU are nothing compared to microbe GU. In the time that followed, no more customers showed up. Seeing there was no one around, I simply packed up my stall, even though I still had 7 cockroach GU left unsold. Today I made a solid 6 mid-grade spirit stones, which is the equivalent of 600 low-grade spirit stones. For a poor rogue cultivator like me, that's definitely a windfall. With cash in hand, I finally had the confidence to bargain hunt deep inside the marketplace, to look for that piece of black iron I'd been eyeing for a month and a half, and a high-grade spirit stone. But after all this time, there's no way I'd get that lucky again. I searched the place thoroughly, came up empty-handed. I had to give up for now, but that's okay. There's new stuff every day, tons of treasures around. I adjusted my mindset, turned around and walked into a massive shop. This was the new store, the Past Life Chamber of Commerce. They specialized in art room stone gambling. In this world, stone gambling means betting on ancient spiritual bugs sealed inside fossils. Back in the Ice Age, spirit bugs would cover themselves in stone shells to hibernate, sleeping through endless ages. If you're lucky, you might get an extinct, rare species, sometimes even a top-tier spirit bug. Strike a rich with one and go broke with the next. Out of 100 fossil stones, maybe one has a living bug inside. Even stone gambling masters can only make slightly better guesses. No one can see through every stone with absolute certainty. But I'm different. To me, all stones with no progress bar are just junk. Only those with a progress bar have a living bug inside. The more decimal places after the point, the more incredible the bug inside. All this top-quality stock in the store, to me, is practically free for the taking. I walked in with my face half-covered, grinning. The shop was split into several zones. High-quality area, expensive prices. Junk area, the most people. In the middle of the courtyard stood a 4-meter-tall stone king. A crowd surrounded it, exclaiming nonstop. I instinctively used my cheat ability. A progress bar instantly popped up over the stone king. 8,268.732 wow. 5 digits past the decimal point. What's inside? Must be an ultra-rare spirit bug that's matured over 70,000 years. With that, I could invent a supreme formula on the spot. I'd be able to cultivate my first ever top-tier GU bug. My heart was pounding wildly. But then I looked down at the price tag and immediately felt a toothache. 10 million low-grade spirit stones. That's daylight robbery. All I have is 600 spirit stones to my name. Not even close to enough. I looked at the chubby shopkeeper standing with his hands behind his back. Kian Duadwo asked, "Shopkeeper, isn't this price a bit unreasonable? Even if it's a king stone, even if it really gives you a top spirit bug, there's still a failure rate to making GU. 10 million is way over the top." Kian Duadwo's round face broke into a smile. He looked in my direction. "All right, who told you? The best you can get out of a stone is a top spirit pet? Naturally formed GU bugs are possible too. This stone king here might even give you a legendary GU bug from the rankings. 10 million is already a bargain." He suddenly changed the topic and said mysteriously, "Looks like you can't afford it anyway. Let me tell you some good news. There's an event where you can win the Stone King for free. It just depends on your skills." I'm all ears. My eyes lit up. I was instantly energized. Kian Duadwo asked back, "You know that GU bug abilities can be deeply developed, right?" I shook my head. How would a masterless rogue cultivator like me know that? He wasn't surprised. He explained patiently, "There's no such thing as a useless GU bug. Only useless cultivators. GU bugs have low IQs and only know basic abilities. But people can use their brains to figure out more skills for them. My lady has a supreme grade light elemental bug, which can manipulate light, but is so dumb. All it can do is a basic illumination spell." He pointed to the suggestion box nearby. "Just write down your ideas for how to expand its abilities and drop them in. Whoever's idea satisfies my lady the most gets the Stone King." At once I got suspicious. Wait a minute. So whether she's satisfied is entirely up to you guys? You get the final say on everything? Doesn't that just mean we end up giving away ideas for free? Kian Duadwo laughed at that. He explained, "You're being an outsider again. All of us from the past life chamber. Everyone trains in integrity. We have to be honest in everything we do, or else we'll be bitten back by GU and lose our cultivation base. Never advancing for life is a mild punishment. All GU cultivators in the world trust our reputation. What you fear won't happen here." He pointed to a group not far away lost in thought. "Look, all these people are submitting ideas. You still don't believe me?" Following his gesture, I looked over. Sure enough, there were people scratching their heads, papers and pens in hand, like they'd gone crazy. It made me completely confident. Compared to these locals, there's no way. They can out-imagine me. I come from the information explosion era. I confidently pulled out my paper and pen. But Kian Duadwo added, "By the way, the contest lasts for just a month. And today just so happens to be the last day. There's less than an hour left before it ends. Good luck." With that, he turned and walked off, ready to talk the next person into joining. He knew exactly what was going on. The real standard for his lady is to make a top-grade bug perform as well as a supreme grade one. No one could possibly pull that off. He just wants free ideas. But what he didn't expect was someone like me showing up. I closed my eyes. A brainstorm instantly erupted in my mind. First, I had to grasp the core power of light. Guan Yu's ability is to control light rays, not to control light itself. Things like moving at the speed of light or kicking at the speed of light are completely unrelated. That's totally off topic. So what tricks can come from controlling light rays? Humans can see things only because of the reflection and refraction of light. Controlling light to stop it from reflecting could blind opponents instantly. Controlling refraction can create optical illusions, making it impossible for enemies to tell directions. You could even see across vast distances. Basically, unlock clairvoyance. Taking it deeper, light can disperse into infrared, ultraviolet, and X-rays. Those rays can be used for night vision, thermal imaging, and ray attacks. You could even make a death ray. There's also the principle of focusing light with a convex lens. No lens needed. You could directly control the light within miles to converge on a single point. The destructive power would be limitless. The more I thought, the more excited I got. I wrote like the wind. I picked the ideas that wouldn't threaten myself and wrote them down. I even made sure they were easy to understand. I ended up writing on several sheets of paper. Finally, I folded them and tossed them into the bid box. After submitting my proposal, I started browsing in the shop, focusing on fossils where progress was being made, except for the Stone King. I didn't come across another super rare item. I was pretty restrained too. I stopped after buying only a few dozen pieces. First, I didn't have enough snacks. Second, if I bought too much, anyone could tell I was up to something. I still understand the logic of an innocent man gets into trouble for holding a treasure. While I was thinking about what to do after winning the bid, how I could safely take the Lion King with me. The bidding time ended. A stunning girl in a blue dress walked out from inside the shop with exceptionally clear and sparkling eyes. But she couldn't hide a trace of slyness. As soon as she appeared, the whole place instantly fell silent. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the result. But within 2 seconds, the crowd broke into commotion. Everyone started hyping up their own proposals, claiming no one but themselves deserved to win. Kian Duadwo immediately stepped out to restore order. Quiet, Miss is about to start checking the bids. No talking. The entire hall was instantly so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Qian Jingjing opened the bid box and took out each paper to read. Her frown got deeper and deeper. Either the proposals were about off-topic speed of light attacks, or just cliché light shields and light towers. Some were even absurd enough to claim to reverse time, insulting her intelligence. After going through so many options, she still hadn't found a single usable proposal, until she drew the paper I had written. Her eyes instantly lit up. The theories of light reflection and refraction on it were totally new to her. It opened the door to a whole new world. The abilities described, each one was more incredible than the last. It gave her goosebumps. She couldn't help but slap the table in amazement. Never did she expect that controlling light rays could be used like this. Kian Duadwa watched her, staring at a single piece of paper for a long time, frozen in shock. Could someone really meet Mrs. Standards? Those who had already been eliminated looked more and more upset. Their eyes were red with jealousy. Only I stayed calm. It's just a trick. Nothing to get excited about. Qian Jingjing examined it for a long time, finally put down the note, waved her hand, and a ball of light flew out from inside. It was none other than the light drum, a pure energy form without a physical body. Even with a pair of little eyes, so vivid and lively, she transferred all the ideas I'd written, completely to Guangguo's soul. The little thing's eyes instantly went wide. Clearly, it hadn't expected its abilities could be used like that. She wasn't interested in the remaining notes, and directly announced it was late. Let me announce the results. The winner this time is Mr. Long. Who is Mr. Long? As soon as the words were spoken, the place exploded with uproar. The Stone King valued at 10 million was really given away. Envy, jealousy, and defiance erupted into a cacophony. Qian Duadwo was completely stunned. He never expected that Miss Qian would actually give away the Lion King. He was just about to speak, but Qian Jingjing stopped him with just a glance. I object! More than half the ballots haven't even been read. Why does he get to be the big king? That's right. We demand to see his proposal. Make us truly convinced. A group of people, red-eyed, screamed with frustration. But Qian Duadwo sent them all back with a single sentence. Enough. The Qian Family Chamber of Commerce's integrity is the greatest guarantee of fairness. If you don't trust the young lady, you can at least trust our integrity, can't you? With that, the whole room fell silent. In this world, Integrity Corporation is a golden brand. No one dares to question it. Qian Duadwo briskly walked toward me, hand still raised.
His face was full of shock.
He clearly remembered. I had been here for less than an hour. Yet, in such a short time, I had produced a plan that moved the young lady. I calmly cupped my hands to the people around me and smiled. Thank you for letting me win. After I said that, I couldn't wait to walk toward the massive king's stone. Everyone saw how small and thin I was, and they were all stunned. The winning bidder is actually this young? Just a kid, not even fully grown. A group of crafty old-timers, lost to a child. Qian Jingjing finally saw me clearly, and surprise briefly flashed through her eyes. She had thought someone so knowledgeable must be an elderly scholar who'd expected to be a teenager. Young friend, do you want to cut the stone here? Or take it with you directly? I'll cut it here. I can do it for free if you'd like. Qian Duoduo then walked up to me and said, let's cut it here. I don't have that much storage space. I touched that huge king's stone and casually responded. The moment I said that, the whole place exploded with excitement. Everyone swarmed over in a frenzy. Stone gambling is always the most exciting spectacle, especially since this is the one valued at 10 million. The king's stone. Even those picking fossils dropped what they were doing and squeezed in to see the show. Even Qian Duoduo had a look of delight on his face. Cutting the stone on sight draws a crowd. If something good comes out, he can grab it first. A win-win situation. He immediately pulled out a high-quality red talisman, a top-grade spiritual tool from his bag. With a smile, he asked, where do you want to cut first? I glanced at Lin Fu, picked up a pen, and drew a line down the center of the stone. It just barely missed the spot where the spirit worm was hiding inside. A perfect near miss. I could use the progress bar to pinpoint the exact location and size of the spirit worm. This cut would make everyone think I messed it up. I pretended to be nervous, hand trembling, pointed at the line, and shouted, cut all the way down the line here. Qian Duoduo immediately waved the talisman down. The hard fossil split as easily as tofu under the spiritual energy. It was carefully sliced open in layers. Everyone held their breath, staring wide-eyed at the crack. When the fossil was finally split in two, the surface was smooth and flat, not to mention the worm. There wasn't even a trace of worm marks. Immediately, people started sighing with disappointment. I put on a devastated expression, acting like I'd totally failed. Qian Duoduo patted my shoulder, comforting me. Don't get discouraged. It's normal not to hit the spot with such a huge fossil. I acted as if his words reignited my hope, and instantly drew another line on both fossil pieces, once again perfectly avoiding the spirit worm. Without hesitation, I said, please cut right along this line again. Still nothing after the cut. Now the crowd was really getting restless. Nothing from either cross-cut through the center. This king's stone was basically already declared dead. Many people were already gloating. I acted like I'd lost it, pointing to several new spots for Qian Duoduo to cut. Every slice precisely missed where the spirit worm really was. Dusk was falling. The 4-meter-tall king's stone was now 50 pieces, with a mess of fragments everywhere. Still, not even a glimpse of a worm. Most of the onlookers had long since lost interest, and more than half had left. The rest just looked at me with pity. I flopped down on the floor, glazed eyes staring ahead, muttering, how could this be? How could such a big stone not have a worm? My acting was absolutely convincing. Qian Duoduo also looked completely confused. He had thought a worm was guaranteed in this king's stone. But even now, not a single hint was found. He was thoroughly baffled. An old man in the crowd consoled me. That's stone gambling, kid. Sometimes you just have to accept it. But I suddenly jumped to my feet and shouted to everyone, no! I haven't lost yet. The spirit worm is definitely in these 50 stones. Now I'm selling all these stones. 1,000 spirit stones each. Whoever finds the worm, it's all about your luck. As soon as I said that, everyone froze. From a king's stone worth 10 million. Now just 1,000 spirit stones buys 1/50th of it. Even if most are empty, there's always a chance. 1,000 spirit stones. Even if you lose, it's not much. If you win, you'll get rich overnight. Who wouldn't be tempted by that? Everyone was breathing hard, greed shining in their eyes. Everything was unfolding exactly as I planned. The 50 pieces of fossil were instantly snatched up. No one noticed. I quietly gathered up the largest and best fragments. That top-quality spirit worm was hidden inside. No one was the wiser. Back home, I held the fossil containing the spirit worm, so excited I couldn't stop giggling. All my scheming paid off. This treasure finally landed in my hands. I carefully cut open the fossil, and a spirit worm shaped like an eye emerged. It slowly opened its eyes, its gaze carrying a hint of wickedness. It awoke instantly. My heart pounded in my chest. This was a pupa worm, the rarest creature in this world, even more sought after than elemental pupa worms, born with powerful illusion abilities, their own self-contained system, able to feed on spiritual power. With this main ingredient, I could immediately create my own drum alchemy recipe. And the core ability I wanted was the microscopic magnification I'd been dreaming of. I quickly grabbed some paper and pen and wrote the name for this pupa worm, Clock Eye. My golden cheat system instantly popped up a progress bar. Suddenly I had an idea. Cow eyes can magnify things, so why not add a cow eye into the mix? I wrote cow eye on the paper, and the progress bar increased again. Suddenly it all made sense. I realized that drum alchemy isn't about sticking to traditions. The material doesn't have to be a worm. With that realization, I added eagle eyes as well. The progress bar grew again. I now had 1,000-mile eye abilities in the bag too. From then on, I fully entered workaholic mode. Every day, aside from working on drum formulas, it was about disguising myself to sell Zhao Kongjiu shares and snatch up bargains, gambling on jade stones to rake in money. Speaking of which, Zhao Kongjiu shares have long been a sensation in Fang's company. Li Ernu, who bought the shares back then, had his heart pierced while dueling his arch-rival one-on-one. But he survived thanks to Zhao Kongjiu. He managed to counterattack and kill his opponent. After that battle, Zhao Kongjiu shares sold out instantly. They became the most sought-after lower-grade item in the Fang clan, bringing me a steady stream of income. In a flash, 2 years passed. My cultivation was still stuck at the initial stage of gathering spirit, not moving an inch. But I managed to reach the 12th level of the Longevity Sutra. My lifespan skyrocketed by another 100 years. More importantly, I actually managed to create a copper drum made from over 3,000 types of materials. Just the cost for refining its bones alone set me back several million. The spirit stones completely drained my savings from the past 2 years. I took a deep breath and put all the materials into the large cauldron one by one, adjusting it 37 times in total. Finally, a progress bar appeared on the cauldron starting at 0. Inside the cauldron, the clock eye unleashed an evil aura. Any spirit insects it locked onto would instantly fall into a hallucination-like state, standing dazed and still, letting it devour them at will. Next came a long wait, a full 81 days. Finally, the progress bar hit 100. I suddenly lifted the cauldron lid. A sinister-looking copper drum was lying right in the center, staring at me with a demonic glare. I immediately dripped my blood essence. It burrowed into my forehead along my meridians and fused with me in symbiosis. At that moment, I also understood the illusion domain it came with. It could perfectly duplicate everything in the real world, creating flawless, realistic illusions. Anyone inside would be completely unaware it was an illusion. Utterly terrifying. I named it the Eye of Providence, and immediately began testing its basic abilities. With a thought, the world before me was instantly magnified. Microorganisms at micron scale were crystal clear. Injecting mental energy again, I could go down to the nanometer level. I could even see molecules, atoms, and atomic nuclei. In its infant stage, the Eye of Providence could already magnify to the atomic level. This far exceeded my expectations. My mind worked rapidly, frenziedly developing its abilities. If it could analyze on a microscopic level, I could crack the formulas of spirit pills and poisons. If it could magnify to the extreme, I could make my movements incredibly precise and dodge attacks with minimal movement. With clairvoyance plus my golden finger, I could even ignore obstacles and spot progress bars deep underground, like spirit stone veins, metal veins, fossil veins, and ancient tombs. All right, before my eyes, with nowhere to hide. This wasn't just an auxiliary ability. It was basically a walking treasure vault. I even got a bolder idea. If I could see atoms and molecules, could I use my soul force to rearrange them and turn stone into gold, or even become a creator? Even if I can't do it yet due to insufficient soul force, it's not impossible in the future. Once I calmed my excitement, I got playful. I activated the Eye of Providence and glanced at Elder Long's thatched hut where he was cultivating in seclusion. Inside, I saw Elder Long fuming in front of a boiling cauldron of materials, furious beyond belief. roaring crazily. Damn it. Failed again. Just 3 ingredients short.
10 years.
I've been at this for 10 whole years. 100-flower pill is the strongest pill at the gathering spirit stage. If I could just complete this remaining formula, the Long clan's power would reach the next level. But why can't I get past this step? On a table nearby was an old, tattered pill recipe missing a corner, with the missing part being the 3 most vital main ingredients. And this incomplete recipe, I could see clearly thanks to the eye of providence. I looked deep in thought. Others spend tons of money and decades trying to perfect a broken pill formula. But I have a cheat skill. I can complete it at 0 cost. What's more, the formula is called 100-flower pill. Besides, the pill is called 100-flower pill. Of the 97 known ingredients, all are flower-type spiritual herbs. The remaining 3 must also be related to flowers. Narrowing it down by the quality of spiritual herbs makes it even easier. No wonder Elder Long's recipe involves so many types of flowers. So that's why. My eyes lit up. Suddenly, I realized I might actually become an alchemist, relying on the omniscient eye's ability to see through anything. I watched every step of Elder Long's alchemy process clearly. Not only did I secretly learn alchemy skills, I even copied his pill recipes with ease. In this world, alchemists are even more rare and respected than ancient cultivators. With spiritual pills in hand, you can control healing and solution methods for cultivators, metamorphosis of ancient bugs, connections everywhere. No one dares to offend you lightly. What's more important, with spiritual pills, my cultivation, slow as a snail, can take off instantly. Lack of talent. Just make it up with resources. The 100-flower pill recipe that even Elder Long didn't finish in 10 years. With my cheat skill, completing it is just a matter of time. Once 100-flower pill is no longer useful, I'll create 1,000-flower pill myself. The path to 10,000-flower pills is set in stone. Having made up my mind, I focused all my attention on watching Elder Long, etching every detail into my mind. By the end of the day, Elder Long was so exhausted he collapsed and fell asleep. And I gained a lot too. Not only did I master the crafting method for 100-flower pill, but also got my hands on Elder Long's secret recipe for purple demon flame. I ended up learning it. This is a core secret of the Long family. An alchemist's lifeblood is their flame. A strong spiritual flame directly affects your alchemy success and pill quality. But I don't dare use it directly. Otherwise, Elder Long might notice and try to kill me. So, using the purple demon flame as a template, I decided to create an even stronger spiritual flame. Inspired, I thought, why not make a flame that can release ice-cold energy? Anyway, since I'm self-creating it, for me the cost is 0. Just take some time. What if it works? On paper, I wrote Ice God Flame in big letters and added lots of notes. Just as I finished writing, a progress bar appeared, 0 to 1%. I was overjoyed. This defiant, unnatural flame actually seems possible now. 2 days later, I entered the marketplace again, disguised. The 100-flower pill recipe Elder Long couldn't complete in 10 years. I finished it in just 2 days, and most of the time was spent studying Ice God Flame. This time coming to the Fang store was to gather the last ingredients for 100-flower pill and get myself an alchemy furnace. Right after I entered, I was attracted by a shouting match. A 13 or 14-year-old apprentice was arguing with someone while holding a bunch of failed pills. The kid was slick-talking, trying to sell what was basically junk as treasure. That gave me an idea. With my omniscient eye, maybe I can reverse engineer the recipes from failed pills. I must get these failed pills. And as luck would have it, turns out, this apprentice just happened to have an alchemy furnace. I directly offered to buy his furnace. I paid 1,010 for it. The apprentice's eyes lit up. He recognized me as the one who sold little beetle bones. The masked vendor. He shook his head immediately, refusing snacks. He wanted my little beetle bones instead. I was surprised. Tried to convince him, with your build, body cultivation isn't for you. Better to raise an armored bodyguard. But he wouldn't budge. Insisted on trading for the beetle bones. So I set another condition for the deal. He had to give me 10 of each kind of failed pill to make up the price difference. He agreed without a second thought. We made the deal on the spot, afraid I'd back out. As soon as we traded, A scarred, burly man nearby immediately stepped in. He wanted to trade his own spiritual herbs for beetle bones. I checked his bag and couldn't help but smile. All three rare ingredients I was looking for were there among the main ingredients, and there were plenty. Looking for something everywhere and finally finding it easily, I got the spiritual herbs without effort. I took them right away and tossed him the beetle bones. Late at night, I got home, still excited, with both ingredients and furnace ready. I was all set to start my first ever batch of pills. Using the skills I stole, I fired up the flame and preheated the furnace. Tossed in a spiritual herb. The next second, I froze. A purification progress bar popped up on the furnace. It hit me instantly. My cheat skill even shows the current activity's progress. Watch the progress during purification. If heat is off, the bar changes. Track progress during alchemy. If you mess up, the bar stops. What's nearly impossible for others, for me, has become a step-by-step easy video game. By morning, I had purified 100 spiritual herbs and made 81 perfect 100 flower pills in one batch. Every pill was full and flawless. Fragrant aroma filled the room. Not a single waste pill. Full achievement unlocked. If other alchemists saw this, they'd be stunned. I grabbed a few pills and tossed them in my mouth. My cultivation, which hadn't moved a bit, reacted instantly. For the next year, I took 100 flower pills daily while training. Whenever I had spare time, I refined the Ice Godflame formula. Sometimes I'd visit the market to flip beetle bones for snacks. I even cracked the recipes of all the failed pills I bought and made good money selling spiritual pills. A year later, I finally reached the mid-stage of gathering spirit. And after a year of effort, the Ice Godflame recipe was finally done. But looking at the 300 rare ingredients required, especially the main ingredient, 1,000-year frost powder, I couldn't help but curse. That stuff can't be bought anywhere. I'll have to put it aside for now and find another way. That day happened to be the herb harvest day. I took what I collected to report to Elder Long at his hut. Elder Long was reading an alchemy book. He glanced up at me and was instantly startled. You've broken through to the mid-gathering spirit stage. I grinned and saluted. Sharp eyes as always, Elder Long. It took me over 10 years to reach mid-gathering spirit. Sorry for being so slow. Elder Long shook his head repeatedly. I'm not laughing at all.
Honestly.
I had thought you'd never make it this far in your life. It's your fast breakthrough that surprises me. I was stunned. Is my talent really that bad?
Not necessarily. Elder Long sighed
and revealed the truth. You possess the rare 10 absolute physique seen once in 10,000 years. Back in the Yaogu era, it was the #1 body type. Wide as a forest. Spiritual energy reserves far surpass others of your level. Meridians are broad. The power of the same spiritual technique is unmatched by anyone at the same level. But up to now, the cultivation method for the absolute body has long been lost. Yet this physique rejects all other cultivation techniques. The spiritual sea is as solid as a rock. Breaking through is extremely difficult. It requires a tremendous amount of spiritual energy. Without a corresponding method, the cultivation speed is ridiculously slow. I'm guessing you managed to break through, probably because you ate too many spiritual eggs. You stacked your progress through nutrition. Suddenly, it all made sense to me. No wonder aside from wellness techniques, I couldn't master any other techniques. So this was the root cause. I blurted out without thinking. So the method was lost, right? Why not just create a new one? Old Dragon immediately blew his beard and glared at me. You make it sound so easy. What do you think a top-tier cultivation method is? You think you can just create one? Even the current top expert in the ancient world wouldn't dare claim to be able to create a top-tier method from scratch? I made a strange face. Cautiously, I asked, what if I just happened to create the cultivation method fit for the absolute body? Wouldn't that make me the #1 genius in the world? Old Dragon looked at me like I was an idiot, both annoyed and amused. Young and naive, aren't you? You really dare to dream. Happen your head. Talents who can invent their own techniques are once-in-a-century prodigies. Those with the absolute body are once-in-10,000 years rarities. What's the chance of those two talents colliding? Someone with the absolute body And the ability to create original methods, could that person even exist? Even if such a coincidence really occurred, even then, those with the absolute body would never even have a chance to grow. If they can't grow, how could they possibly invent their own method? It's a deadlock. Rest assured, people who can create their own techniques. There's no way that would be you. Give up already. After hearing Old Dragon's speech, I felt a hidden thrill inside. But deep down, I was clear about it. Creating your own method is nearly impossible for others. But for me, it's no different than what I did before with ancient recipes. Just follow the golden finger's hints and try by trial and error. The absolute body is a deadly trap for others. But in my hands, it'll be my greatest asset to conquer the world. What's most urgent right now is to create a cultivation method compatible with the absolute body and completely solve this slow cultivation dead end. I suppressed my excitement, put on a depressed, lost look, and excused myself, leaving Old Dragon. When I got back home, I rolled out some blank paper and picked up my brush, but immediately got stuck. A complete top-tier method. Can't be without the path for spiritual power flow. Supernatural techniques that match and supporting spiritual techniques, the three core elements. Low-level methods just need a flow diagram. But what I want to create is a supreme method worthy of the absolute body. I can't afford to miss any of the three key elements.
But
I'm just a loose cultivator who's never seen an orthodox method. I haven't even grasped the fundamentals. Shutting myself in won't work at all. People in this world are all secretive with their knowledge. Those marketplace methods are all junk full of mistakes. Even my golden finger doesn't show progress. There's just no reference to be found. Just when I couldn't write a single word for ages, and felt like I was about to worry myself gray. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration exploded in my mind. I have the celestial eye. The primordial world illusion can perfectly copy real-world scenes. So why not directly copy the archives and treasure vaults of the big clans into an illusion? Then I could just waltz in and grab all the methods for free. The more I thought about it, the more excited I got. As I followed the idea further, I realized the power of the primordial world was even more godlike than I thought. The illusion would be a perfect match for reality. I could run endless experiments inside, refining pills or bones, or simulating cultivation techniques. Even if I messed up and bled from every orifice inside the illusion, even to the brink of death, my real body wouldn't suffer a scratch. Isn't this a free, unlimited simulation space? After repeated tests, I figured out the restriction of the illusion. The copied scene must be close enough. The larger the scene, the higher the treasure level, the longer the copying time. In real combat, it's pretty limited. But it can be used to steal techniques.
it's simply a match made in heaven.
I set my target on the spot. An old acquaintance, the Kian Trading Guild. Their treasure vault is right in the heart of the Fang clan. There are countless techniques and treasures. It's perfect for me to make a move. I rushed straight to the Fang clan. I rented a room at an inn across from the treasure vault, getting a room on the second floor, secured the doors and windows, lay down on the bed, and immediately activated an illusion spell. A mysterious red glow flashed from the eye of fate at my brow. Moments later, the treasure vault across the street was perfectly copied into my illusion realm. For the next year, I dove into the illusion realm every chance I got, studied every technique from the previous life's treasure vault, until I mastered them all. I didn't even skip their clan's signature technique, the books that would take someone a lifetime to finish. I mastered in a year, thanks to the illusion realm and my golden cheat. With a foundation in hundreds of techniques, I officially started creating my own 10 Absolutes manual suited for the 10 Absolutes body. In this world, every technique focuses on pure single attributes. People believe the more singular the attribute, the faster the cultivation, but I insist on doing the opposite. Building a grand 5 elements cycle. The 10 Absolutes body spiritual sea is rock solid, making breakthroughs extremely difficult. Just right for using the powerful impact from the 5 elements cycle to break through that rock, solving the flaw at its core. Plus, this body just happens to have all 5 elements, making it naturally perfect for this technique. Using the cheat's error prompts, along with countless experiments on myself in the illusion realm. Even if I shattered my own meridians every time, I didn't care at all. Finally, I succeeded in developing 5 types of dual attribute variant spirits. Flame spirit power, firewood fusion. Tortoise spirit power, fire-earth fusion. Pian spirit power, earth-metal fusion. Aqua spirit power, metal-water fusion. And Ling spirit power, water-wood fusion. I even mapped out the route for the technique's advancement. Level 1, dual attribute fusion. Level 2, triple attribute fusion. Level 3, quadruple attribute fusion. Only a 10 absolutes body with its indestructible spiritual C could withstand these 5 types of volatile variant spirit power. Anyone else would explode their spiritual C and die instantly. Another's spiritual C would be blown apart on the spot. With the spirit energy paths and attributes set, the core technique's mystic art left me completely stuck. None of the special arts in the treasure vault were up to my standards. Either they were too weak or utterly incompatible with the 10 absolutes body. The ideas I came up with myself, I had no clue how to implement through cultivation techniques. So I decided to skip the mystic art for now and work on corresponding spells first. Spells have to be 100% compatible with the technique and must manipulate all 5 attributes at once. The idea hit me in a flash. Compress and spin the 5 elements spirit power, creating a high-density spirit energy sphere, then detonated for devastating damage. With just that concept, I developed a matching spell in 1 month, creating the 5 elements jade. It even includes 4 forms: cycle of generation, powerful after effects, cycle of opposition, maxed out attack strength, cycle of restraint, astonishing explosive power, and the extreme jade stone for single attributes. I tested it in the illusion realm. Even at the mid-level gathering spirit stage, a dual attribute spirit-powered cycle of restraint could punch holes all over the sturdy treasure vault. Once I master a higher tier fusion spirit power someday, the power of this technique will be unimaginable. With the spell complete, the mystic art problem still wasn't solved. I was sitting in a chair frowning when suddenly someone knocked on the inn's door. "Is Long Jiayong here?" It was the voice of old Daoist Li, that old neighbor from back when I ran a stall. It was exactly because of his insidious schemes that I was determined to cultivate the eye of fate. Come to think of it, I ought to thank him. Resigned, I opened the door and invited him in. Annoyed, I said, "I already hid out in an inn, yet you still found me. You really are well informed." "Don't say that. The whole Fang clan is talking about it now. About you, the masked hero, running here every day. Must be for the Qiang clan's young lady." Old Daoist Li's face turned gloomy. "Otherwise, why not go home?" "Staying at the inn every day, wasting money. What are you after?" My face went dark. Nonsense. Who's the bastard making up these rumors? The more you explain, the more suspicious you look. So I just dropped the subject and asked, "You only come here when something's up. So just say it. I'm busy." Old Daoist Li immediately cut the jokes and said seriously, "There's a large ancient tomb nearby. Lots of rogue cultivators have already gone. Some big clans joined in too. I'm on my own, so I want you on my team, so we can look out for each other." I refused without hesitation. Right now, I'm just at the middle phase of the giant spirit stage and don't have reliable external protection. My combat methods are limited. Staying alive and growing is the way to go. No matter how good the treasures in the tomb are, you need to survive first. With the big clans involved, we rogue cultivators would just be cannon fodder. I want to live a few more years, so go by yourself. Old Daoist Li wouldn't give up, trying to persuade me. We're not competing with the big clans, just following behind them to pick up leftovers. They take all the risks. It's perfectly safe. I stayed firm. No means no. So stop trying. Seeing I wouldn't budge, old Daoist Li could only shake his head and leave helplessly. A month flew by. It was drizzling outside. I was just about to close the window when a figure suddenly crashed through, giving me a fright. It was old Daoist Li, covered in blood, his clothes in tatters. He coughed up a huge puddle of blood as soon as he landed, looking half dead. Damn it, what a wrong move. Old Daoist Li cursed it through gritted teeth, panting heavily. Those bastards. They forced us rogue cultivators to investigate the tomb. That ancient tomb was cursed, and tons of rogue cultivators died. Everyone I teamed up with is gone. I wasn't surprised at all. Honestly, that's exactly what I expected. I asked offhand, well, did anyone get the tomb's main treasure? Number. Old Dawes Lee shook his head. The big clans also suffered huge losses. And no one got the core treasure. I didn't pick up anything good, just managed to bring back this incomplete technique. He pulled out a blood-stained booklet and waved it in front of me. On the cover, 4 big characters. Sun and Moon Star Manual. My eyes lit up, and I snatched it away to flip through it. Old Dawes Lee was stunned for a second, then said, my technique isn't free to read. You owe me a bottle of antidote pills. The poison in that tomb. Even your mighty roach bone can't handle it. I didn't even look up. Casually tossed him a detoxification pill. Right now, my mind is completely filled with this cultivation technique. I have no mental energy left to focus on any other details. This Sun and Moon Heart Sutra is truly extraordinary. Those who master it can cultivate 3 types of top-tier variant spiritual power: Sun, Moon, and Star. The most incredible part is its divine ability, external incarnation. You can create 3 incarnations. During the day, the Sun incarnation appears. Battle power doubles. At night, the Moon Star incarnation appears. Battle power doubles. The most outrageous part is, these incarnations can independently cultivate. They can even transfer all their progress and knowledge directly back to the main body. Including the main body, cultivation speed instantly becomes 4 times that of an ordinary person. My breathing suddenly quickened. My heart was pounding uncontrollably. Isn't this the divine ability I've been desperately searching for but never found? The biggest flaw of the 10 absolute physique is its slow cultivation speed. With this external incarnation, that major weakness is completely addressed. It's a perfect match for the temporal sutra I plan to create. I'm beyond satisfied with this divine ability. I can't help but admire it. Letting incarnations assist the main body in cultivation is just such a creative approach. Honestly, it's an idea that seems almost superhuman. How did the creator even come up with this idea? I flipped to the cover of the technique. In the lower right corner, I found the author's name, Yao Guang. So the female owner here was actually a female emperor. She must be a legendary figure remembered through history. Unfortunately, as a wandering cultivator, I know nothing about her deeds. But that doesn't really matter. What's important is, I've already decided the divine ability for the Temporal Sutra. I'll borrow the idea behind this external incarnation. The Sun and Moon Heart Sutra enables 3 incarnations: Sun, Moon, and Star. With my Temporal Sutra, there's no reason I can't. Create 5 major incarnations instead. 5 incarnations, 2 more than the original version. That's double the cultivation speed once again. Surpassing the original is totally possible. It's honestly not even difficult. Imagine each of the 5 incarnations cultivates a different variant spiritual power. All the cultivation results feed back to me. As the main body, I only need to focus on research. I'll get stronger just by lying around. Just thinking about that life makes me happy. It's a shame the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra is so incomplete. Only the section on divine abilities is fairly intact. But that's just enough for my needs.
Next.
I buried myself in developing the technique again. Honestly, I had no idea how creating incarnations was supposed to work. But that's okay. All literature is derivative. I just followed the blueprint and made my own adjustments. Then used my cheat ability to see what worked and what didn't. If progress stalled, that meant it was wrong. If progress increased, that meant it was right. Just like that, I worked through countless days and nights. After a full year had passed, the Divine Abilities section of the Temporal Sutra was finally complete. The first stage of the technique was also a total success. I had made 125% progress on the technique, which probably means this technique has a total of 8 levels. That's insanely high. I'm pretty satisfied with that. After finishing my seclusion, I looked at the 5 identical incarnations. Sitting in meditation around my room, I couldn't help but grin ear to ear. These 5 incarnations each correspond to a different variant spiritual power. As long as they aren't separated from me for too long, there's no chance of rebellion. With 5 times the cultivation speed, I can power up just by staying still. This is basically hacking the system. Even if the 10 absolute physique has a high entry requirement, having these 5 incarnations as a foundation. My cultivation speed has finally caught up to this world's average, with my technique sorted out. Now it's time to fix my biggest weak point: combat ability. Right now, aside from my 5-element jade and original realm illusions, I don't really have any other combat skills, and the original realm is also heavily limited by the environment. If I suddenly run into a surprise attack, I'd most likely just get beaten up passively. At this stage, external martial groups are way stronger than internal ones. If I want to improve my combat power quickly, practicing a powerful external martial group is the best choice. But that takes money. My previous moneymaker, the Shaoxiang Beast Market, has long been saturated, so all my income streams dried up. I can't even scrape together materials for the Ice Flame Divine technique, let alone practice a new external martial art. I was out of options. I can only head out to find a way to strike it rich. Coincidentally, as soon as I reached the market, I heard there was a gathering key stage meet today, an exclusive treasure exchange fair for rogue cultivators. This is a golden opportunity to find a bargain and get rich. I immediately followed the crowd and rushed over. Those who can enter the fair are all rogue cultivators, with clean backgrounds and a certain level of status. The treasures inside are things you'd never find at a street stall. Relying on my reputation as the founder of the Cockroach GU, the guards didn't stop me at all. They let me right in. As soon as I entered, the sound of a sharp verbal jab reached my ears. What a rare guest. I didn't think my little treasure exchange fair could actually draw out a big shut-in like you. The speaker was the host, Dishin, one of the few ruthless people in the market who sells high-grade GU insects, and a rare formation master as well. She's also a famous gentleman thief, specializing in stealing from GU cultivating families. But she's only afraid of cockroaches. She's never bought my cockroach GU. I smiled and cupped my hands. So it's Sister Shin. I can't be bothered to go to other people's fairs, but I have to give you face. Dishin covered her mouth and chuckled, not chatting any further. Seeing that most people had arrived, she walked to the front and became the first one to offer goods. She first took out 3 sets of soundproofing formation plates. Right after the introduction, a female rogue cultivator took an interest. The other party obviously wanted to use this formation to avoid prying eyes, while doing something sneaky. The private deal between the two was completed quickly. Next, Dishin brought out her prized possession, the high-grade exoskeleton twin-tail flying shoes. Once this item appeared, the entire room instantly erupted. Everyone's eyes turned red with greed. After all, in the whole market, there are very few rogue cultivators with high-grade GU. Only I took one look and lost interest. I had long since made up my mind that all the GU I use in the future must be my own creations. No matter how strong someone else's GU is, I won't value it. Instead, looking at Dishin, I had a sudden flash of inspiration. My eye of heavenly secrets can see the microscopic world. So, can I carve miniature formation inscriptions invisible to the naked eye? On a formation plate of the same size, I could carve 100 or 1,000 times more inscriptions, crushing formations through sheer quantity. Wouldn't the power just skyrocket? If it really works, I could even create a new school of formation arts. It's not impossible to become the founding patriarch. Thinking of this, I immediately stepped forward. I sent a voice transmission to Dishin. I'm not interested in the items on stage. I want to buy books on formations from you. The price is negotiable. I thought I'd likely be rejected since techniques aren't shared easily. But unexpectedly, Dishin smiled slightly and pulled a thick stack of formation books directly from her storage bag, slapping them on the table. There's nothing I can't trade, as long as the price is right. I'd even sell the ancient recipe for the twin-tail flying shoes. I was stunned on the spot. I flipped through the books, from basic formation knowledge to high-level diagrams. They had everything. It was just enough for me to start learning from scratch. I joked, I want all these books. Want to trade them for a few hundred cockroach GU? Dishin gave me a sharp look and stated her condition. I want a treasure that can accelerate cultivation speed. Do you have one? I threw her a 100-flower pill. See if this works. Shin took the pill and checked it, her face instantly filling with wild joy. The efficacy of this 100-flower pill was more than 3 times stronger than similar pills on the market. For a spirit-gathering stage cultivator like her, It was practically a supreme treasure for breaking through to the marrow cleansing stage. She immediately said, I want 200 of these pills. In exchange for this entire set of formation heritage. I was overjoyed inside. Never mind 200. I could produce 2,000. This deal was an absolute steal. I immediately nodded and closed the deal. I laid out 20 bottles of 100-flower pills on the table. After Dishan confirmed they were correct, I immediately put away all the formation books. Just as I was about to leave, Dishan suddenly called out, Forgot to tell you. These books were all stolen by me. The unique diagrams on them are easily recognized. Use them secretly, and don't cause any big trouble. Only then did I understand why she sold them so readily. It turns out they were stolen goods. I also threw back a reply. What a coincidence. My spirit pills were also stolen. Don't use them in front of others either, to avoid trouble. After saying that, I turned and went back to my seat, leaving Dishan there staring at me. The secret exchange fair went on session by session. Batches of treasures were brought out, all in equal value trades. I waited for a long time, but didn't find a single chance to pick up a bargain. Just as I was about to lose my patience, a familiar face walked onto the stage. It was the little medicine boy who sold me the alchemy furnace back then. This kid has been quite popular in recent years. He reached the late spirit gathering stage before he was even 18. He's quite famous in the entire market. Last time he sold failed pills. And this time, he didn't disappoint. He pulled out a tattered treasure map with a corner missing. The audience immediately broke into boos. Everyone mocked him for trying to fool idiots with scrap paper. After all, the most critical part of the map was missing. You couldn't find the treasure's location at all. It was no different from scrap paper. The little medicine boy didn't care. He stubbornly said, What if someone can fix it? Or divine the location? The people below just thought he was crazy. Only my eyes lit up. I stared fixedly at that treasure map. It clearly showed a progress of 90/98. I can grind out ancient recipes and techniques just by guessing. Naturally, I can complete it through sheer effort. This treasure map, if I draw it wrong, the progress disappears. If I draw it right, it grows. Sooner or later, I can grind out the complete treasure map. After waiting so long, I finally found this massive bargain. Inside this treasure map, there might be a treasure worth hundreds of millions buried. This time, I'm really going to strike it rich. I couldn't hold back any longer. I immediately walked up to the stage. I'll take this fragment. What do you want for it? The little medicine boy was stunned to hear my voice. Then he blurted out, It's you again! Cognitively, are you addicted to buying junk? My face stiffened. I braved it and said, I'm exactly the kind of smart person you mentioned, who can deduce the location from 9/10 of a map. The little medicine boy's eyes widened. He exclaimed, You don't actually have the ability to fix everything, do you? Fix your big head! Just say if you're selling or not. If not, I'm leaving. His shouting made my scalp tingle. If this kid kept shouting, everyone would think I have special abilities. Selling? Of course I'm selling. The little medicine boy nodded immediately. I want those pills you just had. Just give me 100. Only 10. Take it or leave it. I slammed a pill bottle hard onto the table. No joke if I paid such a high price for a fragment. People would really suspect I can fix anything. Deal. Anyway, this fragment couldn't even be sold for a single spirit stone. Now that someone's taking it, any amount is a profit. The little medicine boy picked up the pill bottle on the table. He turned around and left the stage. I was stunned for a moment. So this guy just came up here to sell a single broken map. He sure isn't embarrassed. Since I was closest to the stage, I didn't waste any time. I immediately went up next. I laid out all my damaged treasures one by one. The top-grade spirit bugs I collected over the years, the universal spirit pills I don't use, and all kinds of treasures I picked up unexpectedly. In an instant, the whole table was covered. It stood in stark contrast to the shabby little apprentice from before. I went straight to stating my needs. All I want is Millennium Ice Spring, and Firestone and Coldstone. As soon as I finished speaking, Dixon quickly walked over, afraid someone would beat her to it. I don't have Millennium Ice Spring, but I have 20% of the other materials you need. I'd like to trade for all your mid to high grade spirit pets. I glanced at her in surprise. Didn't expect that she alone managed to gather 20% of the materials for the frost flame. She's truly a wealthy little lady. The values were about equal. I didn't bother calculating it thoroughly. I nodded and made the deal on the spot. My stuff was in high demand. In no time, everything was traded away. I had gathered almost half the materials for the frost flame. The rest, except for the Millennium Ice Essence, could all be bought with spirit stones at the Merchant Guild. Too bad, I'm short on pocket money right now. I can only hope the treasure map I just got brings me a big surprise. After I got off the stage, old Doisley took over. He greeted me briefly, then displayed all those sinister parasitic worms he uses to harm people. Quite a few people in the audience turned pale at the sight. Their eyes were full of wariness, but still, plenty stepped forward to trade. Among them was that female rogue cultivator who bought the soundproof array earlier. She bought all of old Lee Doist's stone parasites. I watched from the side, secretly gloating, and silently offered my condolences to the next poor sap he'd set his sights on. Never expected that unlucky person would turn out to be me. The secret exchange ended soon after. I melted into the crowd and headed out, still calculating the treasures from the map in my mind. Completely unaware, 3 people had quietly started trailing behind me. Leading them was that female rogue cultivator. They'd been watching me for a while, thinking I was young, and only at mid-spirit gathering stage. So I was the easiest target in the crowd. Even the soundproof array and stones were prepared just for me. I knew nothing about this. Seeing that it was still early, I decided to stroll around the market, then went to a restaurant for a good meal, played around at the night market until late, humming tunes as I headed for Dashikan, feeding those 3 lying in ambush on the roadside all night. The mosquitoes almost thought I wasn't coming back. Luckily, I'm always cautious. Ever since old Lee Doist tricked me with his parasitic bugs, I've kept my eyes of destiny active every time I leave home. Everything ahead was magnified, clear as day. As soon as I stepped onto the gravel road, I spotted on the ground those stones disguised as gravel, progress bars clearly displayed above them. My heart skipped a beat. I realized right away I'd been targeted, but I kept a straight face, pretending not to notice a thing. I quietly changed my route a bit, avoided the stone array's ambush spot, just trying to hurry back to Dashikan. With old Long there, no one would dare act up, but still, my actions were noticed. Not good. They've caught on. The female rogue yelled. All 3 jumped out of the bush at once, blocking my path ahead. When I saw her face, I was totally stunned. Really didn't expect this at all. I actually ended up being the unlucky one. Turns out the soundproof array was meant for me. Now that you know we've got a soundproof array, just hand over everything you have and all your energy supplements. We promise we'll just rob you, not hurt you. The female rogue cultivator spoke in a chilling tone. She was obviously wary of my little Kong bone. I glanced at the 2 late-stage giant spirit men behind her. I sneered. To fight me, a mid-stage giant spirit. You even have to bring 3 late-stage giant spirits? Are you really that unconfident in your own strength? It's one thing to bully someone weaker, but you also outnumber me. Don't you think that's going too far? Hey, we just like bullying the few with the many. Your little Kongbone is infamous. We can't afford to underestimate you. The female rogue cultivator wasn't fazed by my taunt at all. Well, what a coincidence. I like bullying the few with the many too. I smiled and clapped my hands. 5 external avatars instantly split from my body. They surrounded the 3 of them. Including my main body, that's 6 of us. Perfect 2 against 1. The numbers game just flipped. The female rogue cultivator looked completely disdainful. You dare show off such a basic clone technique? As long as we find your real body, these clones will collapse on their own. But the bald man beside her turned pale as a sheet. He swallowed hard, his voice trembling. These aren't ordinary clones. They're external avatars. We've really messed with the wrong one. Clones are just energy projections with no substance. But external avatars have physical bodies. They're almost as strong as the original. Anyone with external avatars is a force to be reckoned with. Not one of them isn't a renowned powerhouse. Yet here I am, a mid-stage giant spirit, unleashing 5 of them at once. The female rogue cultivator's expression changed instantly. But before she could react, the 5 avatars had already launched their attack. Yen Avatar formed a ball of red energy in his palm and struck at the female cultivator with one blow. The bald man immediately charged over, blocking in front of her. He summoned a thunder palm to take the hit head on. After an earth-shattering boom, he was sent flying backwards by the force. He coughed up a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with utter shock and disbelief. He was a late-stage giant spirit, yet a mid-stage giant spirit's avatar took him out with one move, making him vomit blood. He had no idea that my 10 supreme skills are peerless among equals. It's child's play for me to punch above my weight class. The melee broke out instantly. It was a completely one-sided beatdown. All 5 avatars had Little Kong Bone's undying abilities, taking the enemy's snake bones bites head-on. They fiercely counterattacked with no regard for their lives, every strike aiming to kill. I was worried that the noise would attract Taoists, and the Guardians didn't want to drag things out. They unleashed a long-prepared primal domain illusion. The 3 opponents' consciousnesses were dragged into a dream world in an instant. Their bodies were left standing stiff and motionless on the spot. The next moment, countless 5-element jade attacks landed on them. In an instant, all 3 were blasted into pieces. I quickly collected their storage pouches. Without looking back, I fled the scene. Not long after I left, the 7 guardians of the Fang clan arrived, each one a top-tier expert at the peak of the cleansing marrow stage. They examined the traces of the battle at the scene, looking down at the ground, at the craters blasted by 5 different domineering variant spiritual powers, and each of their faces turned serious.
They
had never seen such a new form of mutated spiritual power or techniques before. They assumed it was the work of an outside force, swearing to investigate thoroughly. But when they heard that this road leads to Dashikan village, and that Elder Long was in seclusion there, everyone instantly dropped the idea of searching further. Once I got home, I checked the 3 rogue cultivators' storage pouches. They were all filled with junk, nothing valuable at all. I was instantly disappointed, but at least now I understood that killing for treasure is a losing deal. High risk, low reward. Farming really is the way to go. Cultivation was never just about fighting and killing. After reflecting on this experience, I took out my biggest gain from this healthcare meeting, that incomplete treasure map. Sticking to the plan, I spread the incomplete map over a sheet of white paper and started sketching blindly over the missing parts. The progress bar instantly disappeared. Instead of being alarmed, I was thrilled. That proved my method was working. After all, I'm an emperor with a long enough lifespan, so I don't mind wasting time. Over the next half-month, I used up stack after stack of white paper and finally managed to fully complete the map. I successfully locked onto the treasure's exact location, and I was ecstatic. I packed my bags and got ready to set out to find the treasure. No need to worry about the medicine garden. I just left a 0 avatar behind to tend it, and took the remaining 4 avatars with me, heading north all the way. Half a month later, I finally reached the mountain range marked on the treasure map. This place was completely deserted. A dead silence everywhere. The more deserted the place, the likelier an ownerless treasure is hidden here. I took out the map, confirmed the location, and activated the Heaven's Eye, searching the entire mountain range thoroughly. As long as there's something underground, no matter how deep it's buried, the progress bar can't hide from my gaze. Not long after, I stopped at a hidden cave entrance buried by rubble, came to a halt. I had the 4 avatars move the rocks aside, clearing out a space just big enough for one person to pass through. Sending Yan Avatar in first to check for danger, and only after confirming it was safe did I go in with the rest of the avatars. I kept myself in the middle of the group, maximizing my safety. The cave was deep. We carefully made our way inside with torches. Before we had gone far, we saw 3 skeletons that had long turned to white bone. On the ground were 9 bulging storage pouches. I had Pian Avatar inspect them. The moment he opened the pouches, my eyes lit up. Inside, besides a diary and some odds and ends, the rest were all kinds of fossils. I swept over them with Heaven's Eye. 90% were worthless scraps, but among the remaining ones, there were plenty of high-grade spirit insect fossils, accurate to 4 decimals. Enough for me to make a nice profit. Combining the bones and the diary, I instantly put the whole story together. A long time ago, 4 rogue cultivators accidentally discovered this place. It turned out to be a rare fossil mine. The 4 were overjoyed, but mining took way too long. Even if they dug until they died, they could never finish this mine. The best solution was to get mortals to do the labor, but all the mortal villages were under Dajiyu's control. The 4 rogue cultivators had no way to mobilize the mortals. So one of them proposed, why not just sell the mine for quick cash? Make some fast money. As soon as he said that, the others strongly objected. They'd been poor for too long. A mine like this was an endless gold mine. Who would just give it away? But the one who suggested selling wasn't wrong either. It would take them several lifetimes and still not finish the mine. Guarding it wouldn't bring them real power. It was just pure miserliness. Both sides fell out completely, and the argument turned deadly. In the end, only one of the 4 made it out alive. He dragged his heavily wounded body out of the cave, but still couldn't hold on in the end. He left behind a map marking the mine, and then passed away. Later, most of this map was burned by someone before their death. Only a fragment remains. It changed hands several times. Eventually, it ended up with the little goblin child. And finally, it landed in my hands, standing in front of the mine entrance. I had the same idea as those wandering cultivators. Should I guard this gold mine to the end, or sell it off for some cash? I didn't struggle with the choice for long. I came here just to collect snacks, to buy materials for the Frostfire Divine Flame. I can't possibly mine this whole vein by myself. What's the point of sitting on wealth I can't use? Might as well sell it to those big clans, and let them spend money and manpower mining. When they bring the fossils they dig up to the market, I'll scoop up the best for dirt cheap. Isn't that the same as not only making them pay me a fortune for the mine, but also making them do all the hard labor for free? In the end, the best bugs they dig up still end up with me. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but grin slyly. Even I'm impressed with my own plan. With my mind made up, I didn't rush to leave. Unlike those random wanderers blindly digging around, my heavenly eye can pinpoint fossils that will definitely produce spirit bugs. Since I'm selling the mine, I obviously need to sweep up all the good stuff I can find near the surface first. If there's anything valuable in the shallow layers, this mine is like a massive maze, with countless twists and turns. Not only is it easy to get lost deep inside, there are also monster bugs and all kinds of unknown dangers. I actually didn't plan to go in deep, but out of the corner of my eye, I suddenly caught sight of a fossil deeper inside. The progress bar clearly read 38.17903, 5 digits beyond the decimal point. This is definitely a supreme spirit bug that's matured for over 10,000 years. Not even one top-grade bug among 100,000 top bugs. The market bottom price starts at 10 million spirit stones, absolutely priceless. After hiding in the Fang clan for so many years, I've only seen one like this ever. Once refined into a supreme bone, it completely crushes even the best superior bones. Now, this treasure is right in front of me. I immediately couldn't sit still any longer. I grabbed my iron pickaxe and rushed over. With 4 clones, I dug nonstop for 2 days, before I finally extracted the fossil intact. Hugging this fossil, I totally lost interest in mining any further. The mining will never end after all. With this treasure in hand, I can create a supreme ancient formula as soon as I get back. Anything I'm missing, I can just buy. No point wasting more time here. Out of the mine, I immediately had my clones seal up the entrance tight, without leaving even the slightest trace. Then I set out for home. Half a month later, I arrived back in Jua City, covered in dust. The longer the night, the more dreams there are. I have to sell the mine right away. By nature, I'm very cautious. To be totally safe, I made layer upon layer of preparations, wore a mask for disguise, covered myself up tightly, and pretended to be an alchemist backed by some big shot. Handled the entire transaction through clones. If anything really goes wrong, only the clone will be destroyed. I can bail out at any time. After everything was ready, I entered the Qian family's auction house. Qian clan commerce with credit-backed contracts is the only place I truly trust. They never try to scam their customers. The moment I walked in, manager Qian Duadwo spotted me. That fat guy's been in business for years, and he's got a wicked sharp eye. Seeing me with only my eyes exposed, he instantly guessed I had something valuable on me. He approached me with a fawning smile. "Sir, I'm the manager here. Do you have something good you want to consign for auction at Kian Family Auction House? He asked if I wanted to auction, and I nodded. I handed over a single item, speaking in an intentionally arrogant tone. This is a gathering key pill. See if it qualifies for auction. I'm not here to sell pills at all. I'm just flashing this pill to show off my status as an alchemist. Adding another layer of protection for myself. This gathering key pill can increase breakthrough chances for those in the purification stage. In this era of sparse spiritual energy, it's a hot commodity cultivators will fight for. It's extremely hard to refine. The success rate of a Tier 2 alchemist is less than 1 in 30. There's no way to mass produce them. You can hardly find one on the market. Qian Duodua opened a single bottle. He poured out a golden pill. Inhaling its fragrant aroma, he instantly showed an intoxicated expression. After counting exactly 10 gathering spirit pills in the bottle, his face turned serious instantly. I quickly added something. My voice wasn't loud, but it was plenty shocking to him. It's not much, just 4 bottles. Each bottle has 10 pills. That's 40 gathering spirit pills. Qian Duodua was dumbfounded on the spot.
He instantly filled in the blank, imagining I had a Tier 3 alchemist backing me.
Maybe even a Tier 4 alchemist. He immediately became very respectful. He bowed slightly and probed. So you're the top disciple of a Tier 4 alchemist? Forgive my manners. I didn't refute him. I just went along with what he said, and replied calmly, just price it as it should be. No need to force anything. My master wouldn't even care about such a small sum. Seeing his imagination run wild, I intentionally raised my voice, making sure everyone in the main hall could hear me clearly. Actually, I didn't come today to sell gathering spirit pills. What I have is a map marking the location of an unclaimed fossil vein. I'm here to auction it off today. This is definitely worthy of being the highlight of tonight's auction, right? As soon as I said that, the whole hall fell silent, if silence was a sound. The very next second, the whole place erupted. A fossil vein! That's something that could elevate a weak clan into a powerful one. It's a gold mine that could thrive for thousands of years. In the face of such temptation, who wouldn't be jealous? Everyone's eyes turned red with greed. People frantically used messenger bugs to alert their families. A lot of them even dashed out the doors, desperate to relay the news back home immediately. Qian Duodua was breathing heavily, his round face flushed bright red. He's in the fossil business, after all. He knows better than anyone how terrifying the value of a vein like this is. At that moment, in his mind, he heard the soul of his predecessor, Miss Qian Jingjing, secretly instructing him to arrange the auction immediately. Speed is of the essence. We can't give the big clans time to sell off family assets and gather funds. Qian Duodua snapped back, and quickly said to me, there's actually an auction about to start. Your map would make a perfect grand finale item. No need to hand over the map early. Just verify its authenticity with a truth token in public. Then give the map directly to the winning bidder. I accepted on the spot. That's exactly what I wanted. Soon a maid led me to the No. 10 VIP box. I was well aware. The sooner the auction, the better. If they advertise for even a few months, not just Lin Haijing, even powerful ancient kings would be drawn in. No matter how much money I made then, I wouldn't survive to spend it. Right now, there aren't even many of Lin Haijing's ancient cultivators in the city. My safety is guaranteed. It wasn't long before. The bell rang out, and the auction immediately began. Miss Qian Jingjing herself walked onto the auction stage. She even skipped the lengthy opening remarks, getting straight to the point. She lifted the red cloth from the jade tray and announced these gathering spirit pills were refined by a mysterious alchemist. 10 pills in each bottle. Starting bid, 100,000. Spirit stones, let the bidding begin. Instantly, everyone went wild. The whole audience was filled with cultivators at the gathering spirit stage. To them, these gathering spirit pills are their only hope for a breakthrough. Someone bid 300,000 right at the start. The price skyrocketed. In no time, it broke 1 million. Just as Qian Jingjing was about to drop the hammer, a loud voice boomed from outside the door. The Long family offers 1.1 million. Everyone turned to look. All 7 heads of Zixie's major clans were there. The air around them was filled with the aura of powerful sea-bordering experts. They walked straight to the front row of the VIPs. Right next to me, I instantly felt immense pressure, secretly relieved. Thank goodness I didn't delay. A few days later would definitely have attracted some ancient king. As the gavel dropped, the first bottle of Gathering Spirit pills went to the Long clan leader. Next, the Feng clan leader, with a half smile, addressed the Long clan leader. I'm saving my funds for the big finale, so I won't compete with you, but wasting 1.1 million spirit stones now. Let's see if you still have any left for that fossil vein later. The Long clan leader glanced over with obvious disdain, his voice full of contempt. The Long family is loaded. That much spirit stone is nothing. That's pocket change. And with that, the second auction item was brought forth. The red cloth was removed, revealing yet another full bottle of Gathering Spirit pills. The crowd was amazed once again. No one expected there to be a second bottle. Before Qian Jingjing could even announce the opening price, the Long clan leader declared, "I'll bid 1 million spirit stones." Then someone shouted from the crowd, "I'll offer 1.3 million spirit stones." I immediately recognized it was Qian Duodwo in disguise. I couldn't help but grin. So even the auction house staff are bidding. The Long clan leader didn't even blink, and instantly upped it 1.4 million spirit stones. Qian Duodwo didn't keep bidding. The second bottle was also won by the Long clan leader. But when the third bottle appeared, the whole crowd was completely stunned. Everyone was at a loss. Since when could Gathering Spirit pills be mass-produced like this? Even the Long clan leader looked solemn. He knew better than anyone. Anyone who can offer up this many Gathering Spirit pills must be a master alchemist of at least tier 3 or above, the kind of person every faction would fight to befriend. Once again, before Qian Jingjing could set the price, the Long clan leader interrupted, shouting, "I'm bidding 1 million spirit stones." The independent cultivators in the audience were about to go crazy. Was he trying to sweep up all the Gathering Spirit pills himself? Qian Duodwo gritted his teeth, and once again called out, "I bid 1.3 million spirit stones." 1.4 million spirit stones. The Long clan leader instantly raised it again, not giving anyone a chance to catch their breath. "You're ruthless,"
Qian Duodwo cursed inwardly.
He grit his teeth and gave up bidding. He was frustrated. There's still one bottle of Gathering Spirit pills left. Maybe he could get a bargain at the end. No need to fight up the price here. But what he didn't expect was, as the fourth auction item was brought up by the maid, before the red cloth was even lifted, the Long clan leader was already impatiently hollering, 1.3 million spirit stones. Qian Duodwo nearly spurted blood from anger. His face turned beet red. He completely lost it. He knew this was the last bottle. He dared not hesitate any longer. Despite the pain, he forced out, "I bid 1.4 million spirit stones." He thought that would finally secure one. But to his surprise, the other Chamber of Commerce members couldn't sit still either. They had the same plan as Qian Duodwo earlier, hoping for a bargain with the last bottle. But the Long clan leader threw everything into chaos. Now, the last bottle was their only chance. Everyone wanted a bargain on the last bottle, but they all went for it at once. The price kept climbing higher and higher, eventually getting forced up to 2.8 million spirit stones. Was finally won by Qian Duodwo gritting his teeth. Qian Duodwo's face turned green. His heart was bleeding. He was so full of regret he could die. The first bottle earlier was only 1.1 million. If he hadn't been greedy and moved faster, he wouldn't have had to waste so much money. And I sat in the VIP section, my mouth behind the mask almost grinning to my ears. It felt amazing. These 4 jeweling pills just earned me over 6 million spirit stones. But deep down I knew, this was just an appetizer. The fossil mine coming up for auction soon is only going to reach crazier prices. This money won't even be pocket change once I sell the mine. Not to mention materials for the ice god flame. Even the money to refine 8 or 10 GU vorms will be more than enough. Once the jeweling pill auction ended, the next auction items were all trivial things that didn't matter. The heads of the 7 great clans were all uninterested. They couldn't even be bothered to raise their eyelids. They were all holding back, waiting for the grand finale. Not long after, the main event of this auction finally arrived. The spectators who were half asleep just a second ago suddenly became fully alert. Everyone started whispering to each other. The Feng clan leader's eyes were burning. Even Long clan's leader, who had been yawning all this time, sat right up immediately. His gaze was as sharp as a knife. Qian Jingjing scanned the room, smiling as she said, "I'm sure you all can't wait any longer, so I'll get straight to the point. The final auction item, the ownership of the ownerless art studio mine. Starting price, 100 million and 10. Let the bidding begin now." The whole room gasped. A starting price of 100 million and 10 stunned everyone. I was even more overjoyed inside, even though I knew this price was already sky high for such a small place. Elsewhere, it could easily fetch a few billion. But for me, getting a couple 100 million steadily was already a massive win. I don't dare take risks in places full of powerhouses. As soon as Qian Jingjing finished speaking, the Feng clan leader couldn't wait any longer. I bid 110 million spirit stones. He knew very well that as long as he won this mine, it would be a guaranteed profit. Even paying 1 billion would be worth it. The other clan leaders reacted instantly too, and started raising their bids one after the other. The price quickly soared to 200 million spirit stones. Then the major merchant guilds joined in. Their capital power was far stronger than the clans. With one move, they pushed the price to 300 million spirit stones. Just then, Qian Jingjing secretly made a hand gesture. Qian Duoduo, who was in disguise, immediately shouted out, 400 million spirit stones. The whole room fell silent instantly, except for the Long clan leader. The heads of the other 6 great clans all turned pale, their fists clenched tightly. With too little time, they simply couldn't come up with 400 million spirit stones. They were instantly kicked out of the competition. Each one of them gritted their teeth in anger. But just then, the Long clan leader, who had been calmly observing, suddenly used a soul transmission to speak to the other clan leaders. With things like this now, none of us can beat the merchant guilds alone. The only solution is for each clan to chip in 100 million. Pool the money and win the mine. Even splitting 7 ways is better than getting nothing. It also avoids internal conflict. If outsiders come in, they'll have to think twice.
Hearing this,
The other clan leaders were convinced on the spot. Shi clan leader Zhang slapped his thigh in agreement. No one else dared hesitate either. Afraid of getting left out, they all nodded in quick agreement. Only the Feng clan leader's face turned as black as the bottom of a pot.
he only realized now.
That Long Wanli had spent a fortune bidding for the Great Spirit Pill earlier. They had already planned to form an alliance, letting him scoop up a huge bargain for nothing. He was fuming inside, cursing nonstop in his mind. The whole family tossed 1 billion worth of snacks to Master Long. He stood up right away and shouted with full confidence, "I bid 700 million. The room instantly fell silent. Everyone was stunned by that number. Qian Duoduo's face turned pale. His eyes were burning with anger. It was Long Wanli again. Qian Jingjing's expression changed slightly. She immediately understood. The 7 clans formed an alliance. Even if he raised the price again, the others could keep pooling money together. Fighting for it further would be pointless. He took a deep breath, scanned the whole room, called out loudly, "Master Long bids 700 million spirit stones. Is there any higher bid?" 700 million spirit stones, going once. 700 million spirit stones, going twice. 700 million spirit stones, 3 times. Sold. Congratulations to Master Long. The small auction hammer came down hard. The presidents, who were still discussing an alliance, instantly exploded in anger and started cursing on the spot. All because Qian Jingjing dropped the hammer too fast. They didn't even have time to react. Master Long laughed and cupped fist toward the crowd. He walked confidently onto the auction stage. I got up and followed him up. Suddenly, everyone understood what was going on. Turns out I was the seller of the mine vein. I pulled out the terrain map I drew myself. I wasn't afraid anyone would recognize it. Yan Jingjing brought out the golden Sincerity GU and solemnly asked me, under Sincerity GU's witness, "Is this map marking an ownerless mine vein? Truly authentic?" I looked at the legendary Sincerity GU and swore immediately, "Of course it's real. If it's fake, may lightning strike me down." Sincerity GU nodded in satisfaction. There was no reaction at all, directly confirming the authenticity of the map. Master Long smiled and handed over a storage bag containing 700 million worth of snacks. "Sir, this is 700 million worth of snacks. Please check." I reached out to take it. A sweep with my soul sense and I was nearly blinded by the mountain of snacks inside. But then I realized a problem. My little storage bag couldn't hold it all. That many snacks. But I couldn't just say it out loud. Otherwise, I'd blow my cover as a big shot. I thought fast and said calmly, no need to check. I trust Master Long's character. However, my large storage bag is already full of spiritual pills. I'm afraid it may not fit all these snacks. How about this? Let me keep this storage bag, and I'll give you a bottle of spirit gathering pill in return. How does that sound? After saying that, I placed a bottle of spirit gathering pills on the table. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Master Long's eyes lit up. He quickly accepted the offer. A storage bag is worth pocket change. Trading for a bottle of giant spirit pill. That's profit all the way. Meanwhile, Qian Jingjing also handed me a storage bag. This is the 6.7 million spirit stones from the sale of your giant spirit pill. After deducting 5% commission, you still have 6,365,000 spirit stones. As for the 700 million spirit stones for the mine vein, our auction house won't charge commission this time. Consider it making friends. This storage bag comes as a bonus. I smiled even brighter, accepted the storage bag happily. Don't worry, if I discover another mine vein, I'll definitely auction it here at Qian's Chamber of Commerce. Qian Jingjing smiled on the surface, probably complaining wildly inside. After all, who finds a mine vein as easily as cabbages? Just finding it out of nowhere, the moment I got the snacks. I didn't stay a second longer. I turned and left. The rogue cultivators all moved aside to let me pass. They all knew I was the mysterious big boss who brought out lots of spirit gathering pills. And anyone could tell. The one on stage was just one of my avatars. No one would dare try anything funny. I had the Yan avatar double check for any tale. Then met up smoothly with my main body and returned to Dashikan immediately. Over a month later, I returned home again, looking at the familiar sea of flowers and wooded hills, and the proud giant bird plane. It all felt so intimate. I saw the busy Zero avatar in the herbal garden, and walked over smiling, merged his memories in an instant, confirmed nothing unexpected happened, then immediately got down to business, refining my long-awaited top-tier GU worm. I took out the snow-white little snake from my worm bag, eyes full of excitement. This is the supreme spirit worm I dug up in the mines. The wine worm still gave off a faint aroma of liquor. This thing works differently from ordinary GU. Its power depends entirely on the quality of the liquor used. The better the wine, the stronger the wine bone produced. A brainstorm hit me. The brewing skills in this world are terrible. If I use distillation techniques from my past life to refine the bones, wouldn't I break the game? Let's do it. I picked up pen and paper and wrote the characters for wine bone, then followed my past life inspiration and wrote out 4 types of fine wine: sweet, sour, spicy, and bitter. Next thing I knew, the formula progress shot to 100%. Totally shocked on the spot. In just a few seconds, I invented a top-level formula. Impossible, but then I realized, on the surface you only need 4 types of wine, but each one requires a complete spirit wine recipe. And the good recipes in this world are all closely guarded treasures. You can't buy any on the market. Meaning, I not only have to refine the bone, I also must invent 4099 level formulas myself. I sucked in a deep breath. My head was spinning. But if I do something, I make sure it's the best. There's no way I'm using cheap booze to cut corners. Gotta do it right. So I used fruit wine, glutinous rice wine, absinthe, and biju from my past life as templates. Then swapped out all the ingredients for this world's rare treasures. I even listed the most expensive spirit fruits and spiritual herbs. This took me 2 whole years. When I finally set down my pen, stroking the beard on my chin, I just felt worn out, but my eyes were shining brightly. Before I knew it, I'd neglected my cultivation for 2 years. Yet my avatars directly leveled me up to late giant spirit stage. Leveling up while lying around felt amazing. And in these 2 years, my biggest achievement was the 4 spirit wine recipes on my table. Sweet wine boosts spiritual power. Spicy wine boosts strength. Sour wine boosts agility. Bitter wine heals injuries. Each recipe contains over 1,000 heavenly treasures. You could honestly call these immortal wines. In these 2 years, I worked on formulas, while having my avatars buy materials undercover from the Fang clan, with superpowers. The sweet, sour, and spicy wines are all done brewing. And I used distillation to purify the wine. The aroma was so intense one whiff just about knocked me out. Now I only need the last bitter wine, and all I'm missing is wormwood fruit. I leaned out the window and yelled for Yan, telling my avatar to go buy wormwood fruit for me. By the way, brew the bitter wine for me. Once the bitter wine is brewed, then go ahead and distill it for me. After the bitter wine is distilled, refine the wine base for me after that. The sunlit salt clone immediately got up and ran outside. Ever since I gained the ability to create clones, if I can lie down, I'll never sit up. If I can sit, I'll never stand. I leave everything to the clones to handle. More laid back than a master. Brewing the bitter wine still takes some time. You just need to wait patiently. Feeling bored? I decided to check over these past years, training results of each clone. I scheduled a full slate of training tasks for my clones, with no days off all year round, and all their results were reflected on me. The rest of the training progressed steadily, but only the longevity scripture made impressive progress. One of the clones had already pushed it to the 10th level for me, directly giving me 350 more years of lifespan than others at my level. Looking at this absurd amount of lifespan, suddenly an idea struck me. In the ancient world, the strong kill the weak, and seizing treasures is a common thing. If I ever come across a powerful enemy a major realm above me one day, I'll need a trump card to save my life. Since I have so much lifespan, why not develop a forbiddance technique that trades lifespan for power? It's a perfect match with the longevity scripture. No sooner said than done. I immediately grabbed pen and paper, focusing on developing an offensive technique that lets me fight above my level using lifespan. So, during the period when I was fully immersed in developing forbiddance techniques, even my clone didn't let me down. Successfully purchased the absinthe recipe for me. The bitter wine was brewed, and using my distillation tools, it was purified as well. Only when the rich aroma of the wine wafted into the house did I finally put down my pen and run outside to prepare for making wine bones. In the courtyard, I poured the 4 types of distilled fine wines, sweet, sour, bitter, and spicy, one after another into a large wine vat. The red, yellow, green, and white layers of wine were clearly separated, crystal clear, free of impurities. The aroma of the wine instantly spread, even attracting Lin Feng and Brother Chicken from the courtyard. They both poked their heads over to look this way. Once the vat was filled with wine, I grabbed Little White, still sleeping in the insect nest bag, and tossed it into the vat with a splash. Little White woke up with a start, flailing wildly in the wine at first. Once it realized this was top-quality wine, it immediately went wild with excitement. With its mouth wide open, it gulped greedily, darting back and forth through the 4 layers of wine. So happy it didn't want to come out at all. Satisfied, I covered the vat lid, staying beside it to keep working on my technique, while waiting for the wine bone to take shape. Half a year passed in a flash. My technique progressed to level 50, but the progress bar on the wine vat was stuck at 50, without even a hint of movement. I started panicking right away. I quickly lifted the lid for a peek inside, and saw Little White belly up, eyes tightly shut, floating on the wine as if it were dead. If not for the progress bar still holding on, I would have thought this thing had kicked the bucket. Turns out my repeatedly distilled spirit was just too strong. Even the wine bug, famous for its tolerance, was completely knocked out drunk. I was totally dumbfounded. This could go down as a legend if word got out, but I didn't dare mess with it. What if all my efforts went to waste? I'd lose not just the precious ingredients, but also this one-of-a-kind top-tier spirit bug. All I could do was resign myself, close the vat and wait some more. Another 100 days went by. My technique reached level 8. Oh, and I opened the lid again. Little White was still floating there, but there was clearly a lot less wine in the vat. At least it could drink, so it was still alive. Apparently, it wakes up, takes a few sips, then immediately passes out drunk. Endless loops. I shook my head, closed the lid, and got back to obsessing over my technique. Another 100 days and nights, completely absorbed. This technique that consumes lifespan. In exchange for terrifying attack power, I finally succeeded in creating it. This move is so powerful it can even backfire on the caster. The price is that it drains irreplaceable lifespan. Except for someone like me, whose lifespan is practically limitless. If anyone else used it just once, they wouldn't die from backlash. But they'd only have a few years left to live. Definitely my trump card at the bottom of the box. I immediately dove into the primal realm, testing its power without any restraint. When I threw out a ball of white energy, it blasted huge craters bigger than a football field into the ground. The destructive force is far beyond what spiritual attacks can do. It was so exhilarating I couldn't stop. I exited the illusion. I wrote the 3 big characters "Energy Bomb" on the cover of the book and carefully put it away. That's when I suddenly remembered Little White in the vat. I rushed over and lifted the lid in a hurry. There wasn't a drop of liquor left in the vat. Little White had grown noticeably larger. He was fast asleep at the bottom of the vat. The progress bar above his head had become 0.0000. He'd become a spirit insect. He'd completely turned into a GU worm. I was overjoyed. While he was still asleep, I dripped a drop of blood on his head. The blood bond was instantly completed. When I received his power, I was so shocked I couldn't speak. Little White actually possessed 2 domain abilities. Domain power is something only the rarest GU worms have. A unique ability exclusive to them. No GU worm in history has ever had 2 domains at the same time. My 9th GU worm made history. His 2 domains are: one is the slow domain, which can drastically slow down enemies inside its range. The other is the speed up domain, which doubles the movement speed of me and my allies. When both domains are activated at the same time, with one speeding up and one slowing down, the opposition doesn't stand a chance. It's absolute, crushing superiority. Even though he's still weak at this stage, and can only affect speed, the future potential is limitless. He's definitely worth pouring all my resources into training. I couldn't stop petting him for a while, then finally put this precious little guy into my beast pouch. All 9 have been forged. I'm in a fantastic mood. I shaved my beard and finally stepped out of the little cabin I'd been holed up in for so long, heading straight for the Fang Clan's bazaar. Ever since I cracked the formula for the Ice Flame Spirit Brew, my value has soared these past years. I've already gathered the rest of the ingredients. Only the core one is missing. A Millennium Frozen Marrow. Haven't gotten a single lead on it. This trip to the Fangs is to find it. But after browsing all the stalls, let alone Millennium Frozen Marrow, I couldn't even find a decent treasure. Didn't spot a single bargain. I was about to leave when a burly, muscular man suddenly approached. He sniffed the air in front of me, and his eyes instantly lit up. I was stunned. I clearly took a shower and changed before going out, and I can't smell any booze on myself. But somehow he could. The man grinned. I've got canine ancestry, so I perfectly inherited a dog's sense of smell. No matter how faint the scent, it can't escape me. This is a new original recipe of yours, right? Take it out, let me try it for you. I'll give you some feedback. I twitched at the corners of my mouth. Turns out he just wants to mooch some booze. But the aura of a peak wash marrow cultivator from him is way out of my league. I quickly flashed my charm as protection and carefully said, Junior here serves under Elder Long Lin as a medicine boy. May I ask which sect you are from, Senior? As soon as I said that, the man's eyes lit up even more. He laughed. Oh, so we're on the same side. That old man owes me 5 million spirit stones. His apprentice will pay that debt. Come on, bring out your wine. I'll drink dozens of glasses today, no problem. I was dumbfounded. I never expected to shoot myself in the foot this way. Good thing, from what he said.
He actually knows Elder Long.
At least he won't cause me trouble. I quickly cautioned, Senior. My wine is seriously strong. It's so strong it could kill someone. Ordinary people can't handle it at all. I'm not exaggerating here. Even the wine insect nearly got drunk to death from it, let alone a human. But hearing that, the man's competitive spirit only grew. He glared at me on the spot. Such big talk. Are you looking down on me? I've loved strong liquor since I was a kid. I'm called the wine god because of my tolerance. No alcohol has ever been able to knock me out. Today I have to see just how strong your booze is. I actually ran into a total booze maniac. The arrow is already notched. I have to fire. I could only force a smile. Okay then. Let's go to the Past Lives Tavern over there. It's even better with appetizers to go with the drinks. Long Lai said nothing more and marched straight for the tavern. The waiter hurried over to greet us, just about to ask what we wanted to drink, when Long Lai waved his hand. No need. We're bringing our own alcohol. The waiter was completely dumbfounded. Bringing your own drinks to a tavern? Isn't this causing trouble? I quickly tried to smooth things over. Let's start by bringing all your signature dishes. The waiter instantly cheered up and quickly led us to a private room upstairs. Once we sat down, I took out the bitter wine I liked the least, hoping to brush him off with it. But Long Lai waved his hand immediately. With a playful look, don't be stingy. I can smell that you have 4 kinds of wine. Bring them all out. My arm stiffened, cursing inwardly at how sharp his nose was. Left with no choice, I had to lay all 4 types of wine on the table. Only poured a little of each kind. Long Lai looked at the small amount in the glasses, full of disdain. What? You questioning the wine god's drinking capacity? I usually chug bottles straight. This isn't even enough to rinse my mouth. But as soon as he finished talking, he took a deep whiff of the aroma, and his throat made a gulping sound. He couldn't hold back any longer, and grabbed the spiciest one, downing it in one go. I instinctively shrank my neck. Spicy wine's the strongest. Yet he downed it all in one shot.
It really was strong going down.
Long Lai's whole face instantly turned beet red, and his whole body felt burning hot. Even his pores were giving off heat. His eyes widened, and he shouted excitedly, "That's good. Damn, this is incredible. I've traveled all over for years. It's the first time I've tasted such strong alcohol. Now this is a man's drink." What I used to drink was basically water, but before he could cheer for 2 seconds, he suddenly felt dizzy and had to grip the table tightly, just to keep from collapsing. Long Lai was shocked on the spot. He hadn't felt tipsy in years, but now after just a tiny glass, he actually felt like he might pass out. But he hung on with his immense willpower, fighting off the drunkenness, his eyes wide open. He stared at the remaining 3 drinks on the table and downed them one after another, finishing them all, bottoms up. I was dumbfounded. Got to admit, this guy is a real beast. The result, of course, is obvious. With 3 more drinks in his belly, he hadn't even started yelling yet. Not even a second had passed. He just slumped over on the table. He started snoring instantly. It was thunderously loud. You could hear it all the way downstairs. I shook my head helplessly. This guy is a real booze hound with no regard for his life. Mixing different liquors is an easy way to get drunk, and he still dared to chug it all at once. 4 kinds of strong liquor. It's a miracle he didn't pass out. Soon after, the waiter brought out all the dishes. I didn't stand on ceremony. I rolled up my sleeves and dug in. This whole table of signature dishes cost 50,010. He drank 10,010 worth of my liquor. I made up for it by eating 50,000 worth of food. Pretty fair. After eating and drinking my fill, I jumped out the window and slipped away. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't dining and dashing. In the rules of paying at restaurants, whoever stays last pays the bill. And there's still a blackout drunk in there, isn't there? After leaving the restaurant, I was heading toward De'eja village, when the communication talisman in my pocket suddenly buzzed. This thing is ridiculously expensive. People only use it when something big happens. I took it out to check. It was from Master Jin, the weapon refiner of the Fang family.
He said he had dug up something.
That looked like 1,000-year icy water in the Great Snow Mountain. He invited me to his place for an appraisal and told me to prepare some money. My eyes lit up instantly. 1,000-year icy water. The thing I've been searching for so long finally has a lead. Once I get my hands on it, I'll be able to immediately refine the Icefire Divine Flame. Just thinking about it gets me excited. I immediately sent my Yan duplicate home to grab the money, while I forced myself to ignore my stuffed, uncomfortable stomach, and headed to Master Jin's residence in person. After all, the duplicate doesn't have my eye of providence. When it comes to appraisals, I have to do it myself to be sure. Master Jin's residence is in the mountains near the Fang family. It didn't take long to get there. A young man was already waiting at the entrance. When he saw me, he respectfully greeted me. "Senior Long, you're here. My master is waiting for you inside." I casually asked, "Is it true that your master dug up 1,000-year icy water?" The young man quickly replied, "We're rogue cultivators and not very knowledgeable, so we can't be sure if it's real. We'll need you to appraise it yourself." I nodded and had him lead the way. On the way into the cave residence, I used the Eye of Providence to scan the surrounding arrays. I instantly saw the array bases and patterns clearly. This formation is from the core division, which I'm very familiar with. If anything happens, I could break the formation in a matter of minutes. Just as I entered the main hall, Master Jin, built like a tank, greeted me with a hearty laugh. Little Long, you finally made it. Please come inside. I smiled and exchanged pleasantries. With Master Jin's invitation, how could I not come? When I heard at the restaurant earlier that you were hosting a banquet, I didn't even eat and jumped out the window to come here. I've been saving my appetite. We both joked around as we took our seats, but I wasn't in the mood for small talk. I got straight to the point. Before the dishes even arrived, Master Jin, why don't you bring out that piece of 1,000-year icy bamboo for me to see? Let me broaden my horizons. You're really eager, aren't you? Master Jin laughed loudly, put on thick gloves, took out from his storage pouch a transparent blue crystal. As soon as the crystal was out, the temperature throughout the cave plunged. The chill pierced right through to the bone. Even from a distance, I couldn't help but shiver. The moment the crystal touched the stone table, a thin layer of ice instantly formed. My heart was racing. Using my Eye of Providence to check the progress bar again, it shockingly read 999,999. This is no ordinary 1,000-year icy stone. Give it a few more days, and it'll evolve into 10,000-year icy water. I totally hit the jackpot, buying a 10,000-year item at a 1,000-year price. Talk about incredible luck. Even though I was thrilled inside, I still put on a hesitant, conflicted face. I pretended to examine it for a while, then looked up and said, I can't be sure if this thing is real either, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'll take it, Master Jin. Name your price. Ha, you're even daring enough to buy something you can't test. You really do have guts, young friend. Master Jin smiled at me, looking all friendly. But he didn't mention the price at all. He just waved his hand and said, no rush yet. Let's eat and drink first. As soon as he finished speaking, his disciples started serving food. The table was quickly piled high with meat dishes and fine wine. But I'd just eaten my fill. I didn't have the slightest appetite. All I could think about was grabbing the frost crystal water and leaving. But I couldn't let them see I was in a hurry. So I had to just tough it out. Master Jin enthusiastically picked up some food for me.
He wanted me to try some grade 4 spirit beast meat. I picked up my chopsticks
And instinctively scanned the food with my heavenly eye. And with just that one look, I broke out in a cold sweat. Even my scalp felt frozen. There were actually GU worms in the food. And they were tiny. You couldn't see them unless you zoomed in. I quickly moved my chopsticks toward the vegetable dishes instead. But when I checked again, there were GU worms in those too. They even put them in the wine. So much for Master Jin's honest face. He looked so kind and friendly. But he actually set me up for a deadly banquet. This entire table was one big poison trap. I calmly withdrew my chopsticks, forced a dry laugh and said, sorry, sudden urge to pee. I'll step outside for a moment. When I get back, I'll drink with you, Master Jin. As soon as I finished, I got up and headed for the entrance. But I barely took 2 steps before a formation on the ground suddenly activated. A transparent barrier shot up instantly, sealing the whole hall tight. I nearly ran smack into it. My expression changed slightly. I looked back at Master Jin, pretending to be confused. What is the meaning of this, Master Jin? Master Jin's smile didn't change, but he stepped through the barrier carrying the formation token, leaving me trapped inside alone. He finally dropped the act. He sneered and said, I don't know how you managed to spot the GU worms in the vegetables, but if you think you're just going to walk out of here, you can forget it. This is my turf. You won't escape death today. I calmly asked, when have I ever offended you, Master Jin? Please explain. In the ancient realm, to kill someone, all you need is for them to be weak. Being weak is a crime. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too weak. Master Jin snorted coldly. That young greeter who welcomed me in also dropped any trace of respect. He snarled and suggested, Master, let's release poison gas and kill him. Last time, that wandering cultivator named Feng. That's how we took him down. No need, Master Jin said darkly. He has the cockroach bone. Poison won't work on him. I'll just release my geovorms and have them eat him alive. I don't believe he'll survive after being torn to pieces. As he spoke, he opened his insect pouch and let out 3 vicious-looking geovorms. One was a golden vedra worm with a huge cocoon. One was a double-tailed flying centipede. And the other was a jagged centipede covered in blades. At the time, the 3 wandering cultivators' top-grade bones.
He actually got all of them.
Master Jin laughed maniacally. All 3 superior bones unleashed. Let's see how you fight this. The 3 geovorms shrieked as they lunged at me. My expression changed again. I hurriedly slapped open my insect pouch and tossed out a little white snake who was still asleep. Wake up, time to work. Win this fight. Losing is not an option. Xiaobai startled from being thrown and finally woke up, seeing the 3 charging geovorms. He instantly became alert. Even though he's not a fighter, our fates are linked by blood. If I die, so does he. So he had no choice but to face them head-on. I was sweating bullets inside. The 3 enemy geovorms had pincers, claws, and saws. They looked ferocious. How could little Xiaobai, a bear snake, handle them? But the next second, I started to laugh. Between supreme geovorms and superior geovorms, there's a massive gap. Xiaobai moved slowly, but as soon as he unleashed his domain, the 3 top-grade geovorms, fast as lightning before, instantly moved like snails, unable to even touch Xiaobai's fur. Instead, Xiaobai smacked them away with a single swipe of his tail. With the Vajra bone up against all 3, Xiaobai not only didn't lose ground, he completely dominated. Master Jin's smile froze instantly. He was totally stunned. He lost control and shouted, "How is this possible? 3 superior bones together. Still couldn't beat him? Wait, this is a Supreme GU worm. You actually have a Supreme GU worm?" After the shock, his eyes instantly filled with greed. He laughed wildly. "Heaven is really helping me. If I kill you too, and take your supreme recipe, I'll be the only member of the Fang family to possess a Supreme GU worm as a wandering cultivator." He immediately ordered all his disciples to release more GU worms. Over a dozen GU worms charged into the barrier at once, all attacking Xiaobai. Xiaobai was under a lot more pressure all of a sudden, but I wasn't idle either. I couldn't join in the GU worm fight, so I pretended to attack the barrier with my 5 elements jade, just to put on a show for Master Jin. When Master Jin saw this, he looked even more smug. "It's useless. This formation was personally built by the Geokori himself. There's no way brute force will break it. Stop wasting your energy." He had no idea that I was only pretending. Just as he lowered his guard, my 5 avatars outside the cave used the Heavenly Eye to completely dismantle the external control formations. A second ago, the barrier was unbreakable, and the next, it vanished completely. The 5 elements jade, charged to the max, slammed straight into Master Jin's face. It all happened so fast. He didn't even have time to react. He didn't even get the chance to scream. His upper body was blasted to pieces on the spot, and he died instantly. As soon as he died, all the geovorms went berserk in backlash, and died immediately, with nothing holding him back. Xiaobai switched right into massacre mode, and in no time finished off all the remaining lesser geovorms. All of Master Jin's disciples turned white with fear, and tried to run, only to run straight into the arms of my 5 avatars outside. In just a few moments, there wasn't a single survivor left in the cave. Leave no roots behind. When it comes to people who try to kill me, I never show mercy. I quickly grabbed Master Jin's storage pouch, put on his thick gloves, and pulled out the 1,000-year frost chain from inside. I was grinning from ear to ear. I nearly got myself killed for this thing, but as long as I have it, everything was worth it. I had my avatars clean up the battlefield. Master Jin had ambushed and murdered so many wanderers over the years. His horde was massive. Formation materials and cultivation books, everything was top-notch. I even dug up the materials for the outer array outside the cave. Packed everything up, leaving nothing behind. With a whole storage pouch full of loot, I headed home. I put everything away, quickly packed up winter coats and food, told the forest avatar to look after the herb garden at home, and took the others straight towards Snow Mountain. This trip to Snow Mountain, I had 3 goals. First, find the right environment for the 1,000-year frost marrow to mature, so it can level up to 10,000 years. Second, the frost flame, since it's a cold flame, is best refined in a land of extreme cold. Third, and most important of all, collect the best cold-resistant tardigrades. My unique Cockroach Master GU cultivation method requires over 1,000 supreme spiritual insects of the same species, which can produce a super GU worm. Over the years, I've already gathered over 600 different supreme grade tardigrade varieties. All I'm missing are the top cold and heat-resistant ones. This trip is the perfect chance to complete the set. Half a month later, we finally arrived at Snow Mountain. The weather was decent at the foot of the mountain, but as soon as we climbed halfway up, the weather changed in an instant. Cold winds howled, and heavy snow fell. The chill cut straight to the bone, and even with layers of winter clothes, it felt like I was wearing nothing. I was shivering violently. I never planned to go all the way to the peak, since the mountain pierced the clouds, and the environment up top would only be harsher. Even if I made it, I'd just freeze to death. So I just planned to hang around the slopes halfway up, take care of business, and get home right away. In a place like this, how do these naked tardigrades even survive? I just can't imagine it.